and we're live.
There he is. mAng and Neads Show. Sonic Garden Radio. What up? What day is it? Saturday. 25th.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of Sonic Gardens Radio with the mAng and Neads Show. Our daily banter, music from Sonic Gardens, and, some discussion about our latest topics and things happening in the world. Intro song, that is Headband, recorded at Sonic Gardens Studio on November 19th of 2016. So that was one of the first bands that I was able to get into the studio and perform, and it was awesome, man. We had a great time. Drummer on that is Ryan Silvernail, my good friend from Oneonta, someone that might be listening out there. If so, what's up, Ryan? Hope you're doing well. And here we are at the main desk, Mr. Josh Uwa. And look at this, a special visit from JB, up close and personal.
No, that's cool. He made it. He's sneaking around. Did you get the internet working? Oh. All right. All right, bud.
All right, JB in the house.
Yeah.
All right.
Stay safe.
Still has some issues with his internet today. Perfect
Always
timing.
something.
That was perfect timing for JB to just stroll on in here.
There
He's
he
back.
is.
He might as well get on the show and say something.
You might as well talk. You might as well get on a mic in there. Yeah. What? Yeah, we'd like you on a mic. We can talk to you.
Tell him he should pull up a seat.
All right, you got to get him
in
a mic.
the other room, and I'll get him a mic. I will.
And some headphones.
All right, we can do it.
We can do it. We're
You
gonna
in?
do it. Are you gonna play a song for everybody then?
Right now?
Right.
Well, let's. How about?
All right.
I guess we could. I mean, definitely.
You don't have to.
Now that here we are.
That's
Or you could just entertain us with your, something that you've got to share about today. Maybe you want to talk about yesterday's show. Maybe
No,
you
I
wanna
liked
talk
yesterday's
about,
show. Hopefully we'll get another call from fucking the doctor, fucking Ryan Warner.
Yeah, I realize you say "oh boy" a lot, and I say, "hey man."
Hey man. Hey man. Oh boy. Yeah, I do say oh boy a lot. Fucking A. So I'm listening to Headband?
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. I still got you turned up a little bit.
Oh, you're
but,
not listening to it?
Well, we were a little bit.
Oh. Jamming.
Yo, this was a really cool experience because, I invited these guys, and they came all the way from Ithaca area. And, I mean, they came, I think they started playing at like 8 or 9 at night, and they played until, 3 o'clock in the morning.
Jesus.
They were jamming all night long. Yeah.
Jamming.
So we had a really good time. That was a fun experience, and hope to do it again. Those guys, so I became friends with the members on Facebook, so I kind of see what they're up to. The guitar player is actually like one of his jobs is restoration and tuning of old pianos. But obviously, in our modern world, most pianos are going to junk because they're just, not worth what it takes to put into it. But obviously, there's some beautiful pianos out there that need care. So he's able to keep busy in his own. At least, this is a few years ago, but I imagine. And even at that time, he was awaiting a child. So he was, thinking he could be getting the call at any minute when they were doing this show. And, yeah, man. So that was Tom Sayers.
You got to turn... I could barely hear you over that music.
Oh, yeah, because it's just your your earpiece.
Right. It's cranky. But I could barely hear out, though.
Yeah,
of your
that's what
language.
happens when we turn up the music, for sure.
Yeah.
So, yeah, cool experience, for sure. Headband. Hope to make that happen again. That would be really cool. At this point, we call it a reunion. We also, man, Ryan was part of a band, Mongo Slade, with our good friend, Mr. Dan Brower. And in the years that Dan spent in Oneonta, he was in a band with Ryan and another friend of ours, Tim, on the bass. And they had a sweet three-piece band with some pretty good original music. And,
why you guys should do right now?
And,
we'll come back
so
over
that
in a
was
few
cool.
minutes. Yeah, come back over in a few minutes. Yeah.
Hopefully, so we actually, when we led up to Headband, we were hoping to get a Mongo Slade reunion, but it didn't quite happen.
Fucking Mongo
But you got to
Slade.
link up. You got to link up a lot of different situations, definitely with kids, and being that Brower lives in Hawaii,
Fucking
he only gets home for a certain amount of time. But Dan, if you're out there listening, my friend, I love what you've been doing with the. He's got Leche de Tigre on. That's his like main band, but he's had a couple awesome musical like events, tributes that he's put together, and the first one was a Pink Floyd Dark Side of the Moon, like where he got all the island. He's in the Big Island, Kona side, and he got like all the local, musicians, and organized a big part of creating a remake of the Dark Side of the Moon, and different people performing each song, and it was just quite a hit where he was selling out these theaters, multiple shows in Hawaii, on the Big Island. So I was like really proud of that, and him being, trained in like, learning the way the songs go and orchestrating the whole creation of it. But then, a few months later, he just did one called Shaka Stock, and that was Shaka, the proper spelling with SH, as opposed to our band Shaka with a CH, Shenango style. You know what I'm saying? So, so they did this Shaka Stock, which was like a remake of Woodstock. So right down from Richie Havens' Freedom to Janis, Janis, all of them, and same thing. They got all those musicians to perform, and there's some killer versions of that stuff on YouTube is where I saw it. But any of you guys that are friends with Dan or familiar with his talents and what he's been doing out in Hawaii for the past 10, 12 plus years, there you go. Check it out.
Have it. Fucking A.
Yeah, sweet. And then back to this, man.
Now you're in the know. If you didn't know, now you know.
That's right. Little information, history.
Yeah.
A little bit of history. So what, JB bailed? He said he's out?
He was waiting for you to set the stuff
Or is
up.
he here or is he gone?
He's walked over, but he's coming back.
Okay, so I can set it up.
He was getting real antsy. Yeah, I told him you'd set it up. He was getting antsy, man. He's looking like...
All right. All right.
He set down this picture of I don't know how. I mean, I do know how to. He. I was trying to be nice, but fuck being nice. He's got some jackass upside down with a gallon of disinfectant in his butthole.
That's the yeah. What do you got a picture? He printed it?
Yeah, he set it down here on the.
He did a print of it. That's funny. He likes that one. He's going for the big prints.
I mean, it's like it's when you put on like a telephone pole sized one.
Oh, okay.
I'd hold it up, but I don't want to touch it.
All right. Well, you know what? I'm gonna play a video. I'll go put a mic out there, so if he comes back, then he's can just sit down
right on the couch right there. Yeah, he said he said he was gonna come back.
All right. So hey, ladies and gentlemen, first video break here.
We can question him
in our tune. This is gonna be
things.
It's gonna be a recording from. Oh man, when was this?
I don't know.
This was from 3 years ago as well.
Really?
2017.
Jeez, what a year that
Possibly 2018.
Was that a good year for you?
It was. I mean, it was a good year as far as things were like steady, where like once a month. You know, I mean, it wasn't like full blown. I was still like working full time and trying to fit everything in.
That's a fucking bummer.
So,
did your stimulus check come yet?
I did not get a stimulus check. I'm not really expecting one at this moment, but maybe that'd be great.
They're popping around, man. The mailed ones even.
Oh yeah.
Fucking A, oh yeah. Seriously.
I bet. I mean, I imagine that's what's supposed to happen, right?
Yeah, man.
Damn.
But
for real.
But it's still April, and people were doubting Trump, man.
They were.
Yeah, saying they wouldn't come until next month or end of May. Fuck.
Oh, so he's proven to be.
Oh man, this guy is reliable as fucking a flat tire, you know.
Hey, we knew that. We knew that going in.
We did know that, but but they're
sarcasm.
They're coming around though. Seriously, they are out. It does have. I saw one. It does have his name's on down there on the left.
You saw one. You actually saw one?
Yeah.
Wow.
Literally.
Nice. All right, I'm gonna play a song.
Somebody got 24, man. 100. Yeah.
Can't get you talking when I want you to talk, and then you know you won't shut up when I'm trying to move.
Well, because I got shit popping in my head, and we need information, and I got information.
All right, so you got some information?
I don't.
Oh, you know what else I was thinking is
telling you about the $2,400 check that I saw. That was a stimulus check for a married couple.
I hear you. I imagine that like I didn't really.
What if it bounces?
It's gonna in another couple months of it.
Shit. After a year, they're no good. It says right on them.
Yeah.
Like a regular check.
Check it out.
Yeah, man. Stimulus.
Stimuli. I don't know, man. I was gonna say something.
Yeah, well.
You had me. I was gonna get going now.
Yeah, you should. You should have a chat with me instead of not.
Well, I didn't. No, I didn't doubt that it wouldn't. I didn't think that there wouldn't be any checks.
Right, but
But
people were saying how they weren't going to be here for a few months or something.
Oh, right.
Oh, man, I guess you just got to know people. Check. I wish someone send me a fucking check.
Well, did you do your taxes in 2018?
You know it.
Then you're gonna get a check.
I don't fuck around.
But you didn't do it. Didn't do direct deposit.
Right, but they're sending the checks out, so it shouldn't matter.
What is what is it about? Is it about the name? Is it about your social security number? Like what number? How does your number get organized for them to cut checks? Because that whole theory of they could only do 20,000 checks a week.
Oh, must be the
That
lower.
was like
they
the
probably
Treasury.
send them to the lower income people first, I would assume.
I'm not sure. How would they?
I would assume that.
Yeah,
Maybe
you think?
not.
You think? I don't know, man.
I don't either.
It's like I
don't-
said yesterday. They thought
What?
it was going to be a, I don't know. I haven't heard anything about the. Guess I just haven't researched what this new stimulus bill.
The other one.
$434 billion.
Right.
But was it just small business or, because yeah, I don't know, man. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, it's fucking. They got to get it out, man.
They got to get it out. They got to get it out.
You got to get that
And
shit
then,
out.
but that's what I'm saying. Then by the time they get that out, there's going to be another round, and then
well, the one one they just did was for small businesses. There's still people losing it over some of these businesses that got.
Well, the whole thing about the small business ones is that it's like we said with that one we were talking about yesterday, where the employees were actually upset that they have to go back to their regular jobs because they're making more money on unemployment.
There he is.
See, I didn't do it. Because it didn't go to that video that you said. That's why. It's not that I didn't want to talk to you. It was that I was just trying to juggle.
Unbelievable. We're sending. He's getting you over here, but he's in there. Did you see this fucking Peckerwood?
JB just keeps walking.
Yeah. Did you see this Peckerwood Jim?
Yeah, pay no mind to the show we're putting on, JB.
Did you? Did you see this Peckerwood Dale Zorn? He's from. He's a Michigan Senate.
No.
He wore Confederate masks, like a mask, like you like.
Oh yeah.
He wore one that was a Confederate one out on the Michigan Senate on the floor.
That's weird.
Yeah, it's weird.
It got him a name in the press. Looks like.
Yeah. He's a Republican.
Oh, I imagine that. All right, listen. I'm cutting to a fucking song.
All right, play a song so we can hook JB up.
We'll hook JB up.
We got
and get him in on
questions
the
for that
game,
motherfucker.
sure. All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is the
Who
light.
is it?
This is the Light Keepers performing "Tried and True."
I'm waiting for this one. We're setting you up. He's setting you up. He's gonna play a song.
Oh man, every time I hose this thing up,
What happened, Ange?
I double play it.
Uncle fucking DP, they call him.
This guy needs to work on his balancing DJ skills. Tell him. All right, here we go. I let you guys can watch me do all this stuff here.
We got a hot one for all you folks out there.
Ladies and gentlemen, Tried and True.
Dancing.
Original song by the Light Keepers.
Love that you give me, baby. It's tried and true.
Sonic Garden Radio live.
All right, ladies and gentlemen,
Another hit. That's what we
that
do
was
here.
the Lightkeepers, Tried and True.
Yeah, it was.
So in that 4-minute jam, I just hooked up JB with
Yeah.
some audio. Let's see if we can get in there. JB, you want to test that microphone for me? Oh, I hear you, sir.
Huh?
Hold on just a moment, though.
Talk into it, Jabe.
Hold on. He's not going to hear anything yet. But now he should hear me.
Do you hear Ange?
No.
Oh, he doesn't.
And
How about now?
No.
Is it on?
how about now, JB?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, great. Nice to know you.
You can hear him?
All right.
How do we sound?
Sound all right.
I can't hear you.
Hold on.
Oh.
Everybody's on different things.
Well, what in the hell are we doing here?
That's what we're juggling.
Oh, shit.
So, ladies and gentlemen, you're listening to the mAng and Neads Show live on Sonic Gardens Radio, and we are on a campaign to get 1,000 subscribers to our YouTube channel.
Yeah, 2020.
So, this is, Sonic Gardens is a music studio in central New York, a place that is a recording studio for mostly my focus is I like to capture live bands, and track audio. So professional track recording along with video performance. So you get like the whole package of live band with a recording, with a video performance.
Nothing like it, JB.
And it's all live. So, just an element to any band that has already recorded an album that makes their own albums. It's an opportunity to capture your live performance the best you can, in a great atmosphere of small gathering. Right around 100 people can fit nicely. There's actually a lot more room than that technically if things, grew beyond. But either way, always looking for new bands and anybody that's interested in coming in to record. And I'm sure once things start to get a little bit better, we can at least do the live recording part, even if we don't have a huge audience.
Come down and do a magic trick for us.
Right behind the green screen, behind Josh, is the stage, the band stage, and man, that's
All
what
right.
we got. So yeah,
We got a bed on there now, so you can do some Pornhub videos. Can we hear JB? He's ready.
Hello.
JB's here, man. So JB,
Can you hear
my
him,
friend,
I can hear you.
you can't hear me?
I can.
He can.
Yeah.
He can hear us both.
Yes.
Oh yeah, and Josh, you can hear everybody.
Not JB.
Well, I'm right here.
Oh, I see why you can't hear JB.
Oh, how about now?
He'd have to talk.
I can hear Josh.
Oh, JB, I can hear you
what's up,
now,
buddy?
man.
How you doing?
There you. I was looking into his eyes, and he was talking, but I couldn't hear him. I was looking right into his eyes. So how are you today, JB?
I'm good, man. Just getting up.
Just get the fuck out of here. Really?
Yeah, working on some prints and stuff.
Oh, so you was up late then?
I got into a different new series.
Right. Oh, really?
Yeah, Westworld.
Westworld. Oh, tell me about
Which
it.
one? Which one, JB? The
I'm on the second season of
oh yeah,
Westworld.
Westworld is
When did that start?
I don't know,
about
it's on
3
HBO
or
now,
4 years ago. I think they might even have skipped almost a whole year.
Oh, well, tell me a little bit about it. What the fuck is it? Just bring. I've
kinda
never
hard.
even heard of it.
It's hard to start
It's
with.
kind of hard.
Yeah, but like what? There's nothing. It's just all of a
It's
sudden,
whole
boom.
different world that people created, and it's just like you go to the Wild Wild West, basically.
Ooh, I love the
and get to
Wild
do
West.
Whatever you want, as a person, you pay like $40,000 a day to go on a vacation, and anything goes.
Jesus, that's
know
a
what I mean?
fucking.
Yeah,
Like,
so
that sounds
basically
crazy.
you're in
That's
this like
top vacation. $40,000.
Right?
For a
in-
day?
Be a baller.
Well, you're in this like simulation world, Josh,
Oh.
where you go up, you pay your money, and it's almost like you go into an amusement park. But that amusement park is completely packed with people that are actually robots. They're
They
actually
seem like-
robots,
they seem
and they
like real
don't
people.
know. They think that they're real people, and they think they're living a real life.
Oh man.
But in reality,
But it's
they're
packed.
there's tons of people, and you can. So in other words,
Probably not a good time to go there
Go
now,
you go
right?
to the
With the
bar and
no, they're
COVID going on.
They're let me explain this though, because it is interesting.
All right.
All right. So you can go in there and you experience this life. So in the one that you watch, you see this Westworld, and it's basically a Wild West world where you go and you put on your costume and you pay your money and you go in there
Right.
and you can go do anything that would exist in that world. And you basically use the robots however you want. So if you want to just go there and be like a crazy guy that goes around and shoots people and kills them and rapes women, you can do all that.
Oh.
If you want to be the guy that
Jesus.
just goes there and performs some gambling,
Right.
if you want to be somebody that just goes there, to experience a ride on the trail in the Wild West with a local townsperson, and so it's like you're there and there's other people that are also real people in there.
Wait a second. Is
but
there?
the real people can't get killed.
But real people can't be killed by the robots. Like, they are not designed to do it. And then so after, like, something will happen.
Is
like,
Ed Harris in that?
Yeah, man.
It is.
He
You
ends
want to
up.
know something fucked up? All right, so here I am
Ooh,
again.
we got him excited.
Well, no, because listen, I saw one scene out of that. Last week or something. I didn't know the name of it. It was real. Ed Harris came in. There was a new guy there. He wanted the girl. He wanted to drag her into the
Dolores.
barn. Yeah, so he shot the new guy. I don't know the new guy's name. Nice looking fella though. Real
He's,
nice looking fella.
He's the guy that
He
played
keeps calling
Cyclops in
back.
X-Men.
All right. Cyclops from X-Men. He was in it. Then he got shot, like Gus shot his ass. And he was bleeding, or maybe in the chest. He's bleeding.
So you understand, so that guy
Well,
got shot and killed.
Oh,
and
he died. He died? I only saw that's where I saw where it came into that. I saw where Ed Harris shot him, and then he's dragging the girl into the barn and
All
got
right, I
Yeah,
love
then
that.
he comes
Okay,
back.
so
and that's all I saw. So go ahead.
all right, so the guy that got shot, he's not a real guy. He's just a robot. He thinks he's a real guy though. He
Yeah,
thinks he's
and he
doing
gets
the right thing. He's
reprogrammed.
programmed to respond that way, and then he gets killed. He really thinks he's dead, and then they patch him up, clean up all his like broken body parts, and they plastic over it and run him through the system again, and then they reset his brain or his like they reset his computer chip, reload the memories that he's supposed to have, and then boom, he wakes up the next day and everything happens again. And now there's
Really?
another person that comes into the world. So that dude Ed Harris is a real guy.
Oh.
But
He's been going there.
He's trying to complete the story. He wants to
He's
get to
been
the
going
final-
there for like
he wants
40
to get to the final part. Like he
he's
wants to
been
figure
going
out
there
the
for
names.
40, 50 years.
That guy is a great actor.
He's been going to this
no matter
world.
what
But
he's
he
in.
knows there's something more to it than what it really is.
Oh.
So he keeps pushing, trying to find that next level. Where it's not all fake. He wants to do
Right.
like the real deal shit.
Fucking A.
So he goes there and he's been killing that dude
Do more.
and raping and killing
Pillage and shit, right?
that girl Dolores for like 50 years.
Oh,
40
Jesus.
or 50 years. That's what he does, like every day. And everybody, when they see him, they're like, yeah, let him do whatever he wants, because he is he's actually the owner
He's
of the
the owner
place
now.
through
A part
his
owner.
through his like marriage. The father was the original person that like took it. It's a crazy dude. It's a great story, but they got through the first season, which was just blew your mind as far as like how far they're willing to go and reset, and the way that people would go there to just purge their own things, like people that want to kill people can just go there and kill people, and
Jesus.
people that want to just go there and buy hookers and experience that, they can do that, and it's all
Hookers and blow, huh?
like all I don't know. opium, probably.
Oh,
back
yeah,
in that.
yeah.
But then,
Opium.
so then the second season opens up to that there's other places.
Laden.
Like the second season opens up to there's other things. Like it's not just the Wild West. You can have like another world that's like this world, and then there's this world, and they just create these like fake worlds and fantasy scenes, and they sell those. So it's like you can go to whatever world you want.
Oh.
And they're always robots, and they're always storylines, and like so there's like the world became people create storylines, and then there's people that create the robots, and then there's people that program the robots, and then there's people that clean up the dead bodies at the end of the day, and all these different things. So it just becomes this insane world of artificial experiences. And it's amazing, dude. It's one of the more brilliant shows of around right now.
I just started the second season last night. So
yeah, third season is running right now. Like you could catch up, but I am not subscribed to. I don't pay a HBO, so I'm like I'm out, which sucks because man, there's some good series that have come out of that HBO, like the one with Woody Harrelson and Matthew McConaughey.
What was that?
True Detective. The first season of True Detective is just one of the most bizarre but brilliant stories and everything. Yeah, man, that's great. Great acting. Like I never really knew how I felt about that Matthew McConaughey as far as acting. Like I knew he was in some good stuff, but sometimes I thought he was over the top or like a bit of a
McConaughey?
A bit of a mainstreamer, and I guess that was just because of the movies that I caught him in where they just made him a pretty boy. But he's actually a phenomenal actor, man.
You didn't see him in Dazed and Confused?
Oh yeah, of course. And that but that was just his minor role then, yeah. Oh. He's like, hey, man. And, yeah, he keeps that going.
Be a lot cooler if you did.
But this story, man, both of those guys is one of their most phenomenal acting of any, like, series. And, two characters with just amazing dynamics was Woody Harrelson and Matthew McConaughey.
I like Woody Harrelson.
I do believe they're both stoners, too, both those guys. So
Woody is, for sure.
It just goes to say sometimes...
Get high on your own supply.
A little inspiration.
Yeah. Little twun.
Oh, shit. We got our fucking...
everything's blowing up. That's blowing up. Realize. JB's over here like fucking...
Yo, Derek Sturdy back. Thanks, man. Adam.
That's a good friend of mine.
Adam Brilliant? Is that how you say the guy's last name?
Probably not. I'm gonna say that's not how you say it.
Yeah, man. Thanks for the comments.
Adam's good people, man. I met him on Fish Tour years ago with Jen.
Oh.
Jen introduced me to him, and he sells the best grilled
all right.
Best grilled cheese online. Uses the Velveeta instead of just slapping cheese on it. The Velveeta grilled cheese, and throws the bacon on there too. Oh man. Die for her. So good. I wish I could get one right now.
Oh man, he goes. Oh man.
But Adam had a few things to say about the whole Trump thing.
Oh.
You know what I mean? Like
Adam, feel free to call in, man. Derek, you guys want to chat live? We'd be happy to take your call.
Man.
I might have to call you back because you got a better connection in through my phone. So.
Big D's in the house too. Fucking A.
But that whole thing you guys were talking about yesterday.
What?
Was with Trump. With the
he's talking about cleaning out your lungs, he said.
Yeah.
Clean out your lungs.
Clorox in there, right?
Right.
No, man. Well, it was just so funny because
anal bleaching.
I actually felt bad for the Trumpers yesterday because they scrambled like everybody knew they would.
Oh my! Let me tell you, they pulled it out though. They
tried to cover up by saying it was sarcastic.
Yeah. Oh, you guys don't know?
Sarcastic.
But we don't know. He fucking lies every fucking sentence.
Oh man!
Right?
Holy shit! You just started screaming.
Me?
Yeah, I got loud over here too.
I'm sorry. And then I realized it was because Yeah. Man, I swear to God, my finger is on your thing constantly because of your adjustments in your tones. 1 minute.
I get it going.
But a lot of people have resorted to Like I've seen a lot of things on Facebook, not just like the print I showed you guys, but a lot of people online are just going crazy over Trump's statements. You know, like I saw the IV thing holding up with the Clorox bleach
Yeah.
straight to the main vein. You know,
Yeah.
like
Yeah, and
come
well,
on now.
the when they came back and said that this is what he meant, and people are putting out
Yeah,
a
did you see
picture.
that meme with the
Ultraviolet.
person? Yeah, with the ultraviolet. Oh, they do that for you motherfuckers didn't. That's not what he meant. He didn't know that.
Right,
Josh,
because
so-
then unfortunately he came right back, and they actually asked him, and on record he said he was just joking.
But speaking of Adam,
This is the picture.
Adam, yeah, I just printed this out this morning for Adam, and I thought it was great.
Oh,
You
yeah.
know?
JB likes that.
Hey,
It looks like he's
Is that Adam himself?
Adam.
Is
It's
that-
Oh,
Adam
great,
himself.
man. What's up, buddy?
Adam's got the bleach bong in his butt. Backpacking bleach, this guy is.
But yeah, one
Hey,
of
you
the
know.
many funny comments out there.
Oh yeah, there he is, man. Freshie.
That's great.
Got
Yeah,
it
I
right.
thought it
now.
was funny.
Yeah. Fucking
The funny thing is that Cooper, you guys all know Cooper.
the
Cooper,
great.
Cooper has no clue who Adam is. And I was on Facebook the other morning, and Coop found this somewhere on the internet and posted it. I'm
And you're like, that's my
"Oh,
buddy.
That's one of my buddies. Yeah, I'm like, he's like, nah. I'm like, yeah, dude, that's my buddy Adam. You know,
JB
but,
knows everybody, man.
Yeah, it's just funny stuff, man. Good stuff.
Great.
Oh man.
So I didn't. That was the only one. Was that when they did interview him, he said, "I was joking. If you look at the thing, come on, I said it. I looked right at him, and they're
Yeah,
like,
that-
no, you were saying
Yeah.
you're looking into this, right? As you're
Yeah.
looking at your own.
He was
doctor."
asking questions.
So
like
either way, it's bullshit. But what was funny is that the Trumpers came up with a better bullshit than he actually could. So like if he
Man.
came out and said the same thing, held up that same picture from the meme and said, "This is what I was talking about,
It's
you
got-
idiots," and then all of a sudden,
It's-
it'd be like boom. But instead, he said something totally that like, how
Way off
can
in
they
left field.
defend that? Yeah,
Yeah,
how can they
yeah.
defend that? And they're like, no, and then they keep coming back going, this happens all the time, and then people are chiming in about all these treatments and covering up for somebody that
Yeah.
couldn't even do it himself, or
And they don't
listen
even
to
know.
somebody smart enough to tell him, say that you meant this.
Didn't
you know?
someone
Yeah.
try it and die? I heard.
Well, there was
No,
the
but there's-
Arizona couple that died. Yeah, the Arizona couple died from the hydrochloroquine. So it's
Yeah, but they weren't taking the real. It was in something else they were taking, right?
it was chloroquine that was what was it for? Damn it, I can't
It
remember
was
now.
for something.
Oh,
fucked
cleaning
up.
cleaning fish tanks. For
Yeah.
cleaning fish tanks, and they took it, and the
Yeah.
guy died. Woman went into critical, and
And
that was a
then
little
died.
while back ago. Probably died.
We're gonna say that she might not have made it.
So you can't say that that's not because.
Well, those are they were his followers.
And I remember being
It's like fucking Jonestown all over again, but at this time it's the whole country. It's like
Right.
in our whole
well,
country.
no, it's like we're watching, yeah, and even in Jonestown, not everybody fell for it.
Right.
Some people were like, "Fuck that." Some people left that day.
yeah, but and left and got
out.
shot. They got a few people got shot for
Right.
trying to leave. Yeah.
But then some people left like a week before, or a couple days, and a month before, and they're able to come and talk
Dude,
about
those
how
cocks
they
suck.
saw it. They saw it going downhill.
Those fucking dirtballs had kids drinking that shit and shit.
Yeah, man.
That's fucking terrible.
That's a whole story of its own for sure. Jonestown.
Fuck. Oh man.
They're
What else?
also,
What else you got for me, JB?
Not a whole lot, man.
What do you mean?
I just got here.
Yeah, but you're well rested though.
I am pretty rested. for the most part.
So JB, tell us about what's been going on, progress with Little Jimmy's, and where you're at, man.
Little Jimmy's, I got a new printer. I've been working on. I'm finally figuring out like the software better. So there's a lot more I can do now. Thanks to a lot of help from Nate. Nate's totally been helping me out on
Yeah,
that.
man, Nate's the man.
Nate
And,
Dog?
yeah, Nate's the man for sure. And just going from there. And I talked to my buddy Scotty P the other day, and he built East Coast Terminal. He wants to come down and build a couple quarter pipes, make a little half pipe in the shop, which is awesome. But anyways, just focusing on the printing and just trying to get to the next level, man. You know what I mean? Trying to put it out there, trying to show what I can do and make the best prints I can. Really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you're doing a great job,
Beautiful.
man.
Oh, thank you, man. I appreciate it for sure.
Yeah, I love it. I love what you're doing and all the.
He loves it.
I like it. You know what else I think is you got a good.
He did all this right here, man.
You got a good eye for
All
the
the-
decoration part, and I'm kind of hung up because I need some. I still got a whole lot of prints that you've hooked me up with that
we
still
got-
need a home, on the wall.
We got to put them on.
And
Gotta
yeah,
get some more
man.
frames.
You do a good job.
Yeah. So
Like I like the, like even the way Rita's was set up in that time.
Yeah.
With all that, it was so sweet with all those images. It just took that place to
Oh, yeah, it
like the
gave it
same
own
way as
image.
here, man. Some beautiful art.
Yeah, our
Um,
kids, every place a better image for sure.
Yeah.
Put it up right. It's great. And I got to thank Ryan Warner for most of it. for
fucking
sure.
A.
Oh.
Man, I wouldn't
The
be,
animal doctor, Ryan
Mr.
Warner.
I wouldn't be doing anything right now if it wasn't for him. That's for sure.
Oh yeah, he's the man.
He-
Big
he's something.
thank you to Ryan
Hey,
Warner.
we got a vibe of life to JB, a big heart and kisses right here, man. Our biggest celebrity, JB,
Yeah, JB, he is.
on the
He's
Mang and
like
Needs
a-
show. That was the way it was back when we, you know what's really funny,
Tell
JB,
me.
is that I met you on the Mang and Needs show.
Yeah.
That was the first time.
He didn't even know you.
That
I
was
could
the
barely
first time-
talk. I was like straight mumbling.
Ah,
Blah, 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 blah.
yeah, you.
Blah, 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 blah,
It
blah.
wasn't. It wasn't.
Nah, it
It's
wasn't
just
all
funny.
mumbling because
couldn't even watch
you
the
and
whole
I
show.
got into it a couple times. Oh, you couldn't watch the
I
whole
couldn't
show?
watch the whole thing. 'cause
Oh,
I
you
was
couldn't
too
take
embarrassed.
yourself- oh, you were?
No, yeah, I was.
Oh God, if I pulled out the unedited version of that one, because in those days we weren't live, so we would record and then I would like go through it, and like if I found anything in there that was like too much, or like we said something like way too stupid, or like something like that, even though now that we're live, we say all kinds of dumb shit and we don't care at all.
Fucking egg. I say
So
all the
I
dumb
give
shit
up.
I can. I just wheel it in here with me.
Yeah.
Dumb shit.
Yeah.
So yeah, so and it was just funny because so Johnny came in on the scene with doing the Mang and Needs. I think I even met like Johnny pretty much through the Mang
Yeah,
and
you
Needs
didn't know
show.
him either, right?
Yeah, because
I-
you're like, oh, I got my buddy.
I
he should come by.
brought these. I'm
so
sorry.
I met all
I'm
these.
sorry.
No, great guys, man.
Brother
Love
in the
Johnny.
show.
Love Johnny and his Liberty glass eye.
Oh, Johnny, he's a great human.
He is
Just so happy all the time.
he-
He's
we still have not, after 41 days of this.
Oh, yeah, he's
we've
busy.
Still not got a call or anything from, our
Yeah, he's hiding
our
out.
other guy.
yeah,
He's not in the
he's too busy correcting people on Facebook and getting into fucking arguments with them. Yeah,
I
he's
talked to
hard
him.
at it.
I talked to him yesterday.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's doing all right. He's
Yeah,
all right.
he's all right.
All right. As long as you guys think so.
He can take care of himself. That's how I put it.
Oh
you know?
yeah, definitely.
I mean,
definitely. Oh, he's
uh,
great, man. I'm telling. I wasn't
yeah.
joking. I like Johnny a lot.
Nice.
Such a nice guy.
So yeah, I remember meeting JB then, and it was just that unedited version was so funny because you guys were you and JB were
All I
at
want
each
to do
other's
is
show.
pick on Josh. That's all I want to do is fuck with Josh.
So JB's just mumbling, fucking with Josh, and Josh is actually he was getting mad about it, and he and that unedited version, yeah, he lost his shit. He's like, oh, I don't remember. That was a good one though, and
we were arguing about chicken and cheese.
and then I
And
didn't,
steak.
and then I removed the best part of the show from the show and put it on, even though it was a great show because I ended up editing in. Even after we did the recording, you did that snowboarding behind the truck.
yeah, we pulled JB. Dude, that was great. It
With
was
a coax cable. We pulled me with a coax cable.
It was
behind the truck, and I had it
yeah.
wrapped around my arm.
It was
so
like
tight, so if I fell, it would
3
rip
in the
my arm.
morning on a big snowstorm. We pulled JB out of his apartment.
I bet you I can
Hammered.
find that.
Oh, you got yeah, and he was buzzed on. We didn't have any rope. He had a snowboard. We used coax cable. that I found laying there. We wrapped that around, and then we just hit the streets. So
Tied it to my wrist.
tied it to his wrist, tied it to my bumper of my plow truck, and we went just fucking
All over town. The whole town.
headed through town.
I did good though. I stayed up, man.
I got flying by the high school over there, and when I turned on to Hale Street, I turned that turn on the right, and it was clear, whatever. Fucking all of a sudden, JB catches the edge. He's sparking, and then boom,
And
he
I
goes
jumped.
down.
Yeah, that was at the end. But I jumped the
Yeah.
bank. I landed the bank.
Yeah, you
and,
did.
I did a couple cool things, but yeah, I did go down at the end, and I got dragged by my arm because the coax cable was tied to my arm.
Right.
So I'm like dragging down
Yeah,
the
he
road.
crashed and got dragged down the fucking road. Like a fucking dude behind a horse, like you see in the westerns.
It's good.
Fuck. Yeah, motherfucker.
I'll do it again.
All right, keep talking because I'm gonna find.
You found
this,
that footage? You got it? I know
for
you
sure.
got it in there somewhere.
Well, it's
Fuck.
easy to find because you just go to JB's. I'm just gonna do it right from the from YouTube on our channel.
And then there's-
Right.
So
Then
guys,
there's
if
Schneider Lake,
anybody
too.
wants to see this whole setup, this is with
Yeah.
Johnny. This is like old school. It's like a beginning of what we were doing. Hey, it is what it is, but it's still pretty like as far as like the visual is awesome. It's just that we didn't have like as much
Good
cool
equipment.
like ability to do it this way live and using the studio. So I just literally had one camera and just kind of edited the thing together. So anyway, let me try to find the spot in it and I'll pull it up. Keep
There was
talking
also
if you
the
want.
Echo Lake. You remember the Echo Lake deal? You drugged me on the 4-wheeler.
Yeah, that's in this too for sure.
Oh, I'll put Sinead. I'll put
Of
the.
the Schneider Lake, Josh.
Yeah,
you
yeah.
told me. You made sure you were like, "Oh, have another beer, JB. Have another beer."
Yeah.
You get all hemmed
Well,
up
you
before we do
started.
this.
Yeah, I think you started to have doubts or something.
I know I could clear the deck. I just wasn't trying to do front flips and shit.
No, well, you did them on your own. We didn't tell you to do any front flips. It was about an 18-foot dock. You were clearing it though. We got plenty of speed. We had
yeah.
every fucking camera angle you could fucking get to, which is pretty cool.
All right, I'll play it right out with the. I
made you
think
wear a
this is
helmet.
I think we
Yeah,
got
I wore
a.
helmet that
I think
time.
you're
Only
you're.
time I ever wore a helmet.
I think you're riding to a Ben Wayne tune. Is that how it was
Whatever
done?
Josh was playing.
I feel
God
like
only
we
knows
did
what the fuck
something.
I had going on.
All right, so let's see, ladies and gentlemen, special video here. We're gonna cut over.
We're gonna hear it.
Yeah, you guys should be able to hear it.
All right,
All right.
let's hear it.
Talk about meat and then cheese and then every fucking.
Wait, I
little
never said anything about
narration.
cheese.
Yes,
I
you
can't
have,
see it.
dude. In the
I eat
past.
cheese.
But
Yeah, no, I know you have,
I
but then
remember
you talk
it,
shit
so-
about it.
I
never talked
shit about
Dude,
cheese.
you've been talking shit about cheese, yo.
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 This is from that podcast.
Microphone.
Never talked shit about it. I didn't eat it for a while, but I never talked shit about it. I never talked shit about anything. Any fucking thing I eat. What the fuck? It's my opinion if I don't want to eat it, if I don't want to eat it. It'd have to be a reason.
Yeah, I know the reason, because Mommy didn't cut it up and split it.
We looped it around.
I gotta walk over.
That is great. Johnny, I didn't even hit him, Johnny. I didn't even touch him.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Self-destruct sequence activated.
Now that is on tape. That is a good one.
Looks like we got one. We got one out of that.
Johnny.
We're on fire here tonight.
He
Johnny.
dove out of that chair, dude. That was the greatest shit.
For those of you just tuning in, you haven't missed shit.
If we got that one, how the fuck did you end up upside down?
You were happy. You thought you hit a home run, and you fell off that chair and hit that guy.
This
All I
is
heard
like
is your
late night, I
headphones
think, right?
smack
Like 2
off
in the
the
morning?
ground and hit your like what?
I think
Yeah, it
this
was
was
great.
like
The
3 in the
microphone.
morning.
Did you hear
Crazy shit when the bars were closed.
you didn't break anything.
I can't see it.
So
So I have
mic
no idea
drop.
what's going on.
Open up your YouTube.
Oh, yeah,
I
I
just
see
got
it.
a little spillage. That's all right. That's
Oh,
what it's
Johnny
all
has
for.
Coca-Cola still.
That's why we all had our. That's why we got this tablecloth. This high-end tablecloth. over
High
here.
end.
Ketchup and
rolling.
mustard, pretzels.
Dude, this is great. Here, I got you live over here, JB, going down the.
Check,
I can see it now.
Here's another little.
Here we go. Music starts. Yo, this is Ben
It's
Wayne.
off to a bad
No,
start.
this is part
Oh,
one.
part
This is
one tribe,
two.
okay.
It's all right.
This was not recorded
Yeah,
at Sonic Gardens.
Shut up.
Don't worry about it. Don't worry about
Yeah,
it.
There's Ben.
Wayne, man.
There's
We're
Ben.
going slow now.
Okay.
It was hard because it was all ice. It was all ice. And Josh would pull that fucking, what was that?
You didn't see it
I'd
happen.
be like, go.
Self-destruct sequence activated.
We'll split. So this is like the beginning of the
Yeah, we're trying to figure out the
we'll
ends.
inbox it to Jen snowboard video. He didn't have a helmet on this time.
Supposed to give him a helmet.
Maybe next time. If it's not on film, I'm gonna be upset. But guess what? It's definitely on video or on voice. So if you going down, it's definitely on voice.
The fucking ground.
Yeah, that's slow.
Almost clipped that guy on with the dog.
You see the slide going and tighten. So it's hard for me to even keep control.
Yeah.
I just have to.
You wreck all right here. You kind of look like you hit your head.
See the slide gets loose.
I like Johnny's response though when you do wreck. He's like, "Come on, bud, let's go."
I start cruising for us.
You just cruising, JB,
A minute.
like it was nothing.
See, there's too much slack in the cord. And you jam it.
No.
Yeah, you did. Did
No, we had to slow
you saw all
down.
that slack in the cord, dude.
player, buddy.
Now we're cruising. Now we're cruising.
Oh yeah, now we're fucking jamming on it.
I hurt my wrist. I remember it hurt my wrist.
Yeah, cause I don't know what you did.
I tied it on there.
There you
You
go. We're
weren't
gaining
that-
speed right there, JB. Coming around that corner.
Fucking A, man.
was a cold day. I remember that shit. That was like, so it was after though. I was almost into April before that was done. I almost think it was like early April, end of March for sure before this video went out.
Yeah, end of March. It was a March storm. I thought, but no, the video. Yeah, now we're fucking hauling. Oh, JB was sitting in the back, wasn't? Or
Or
Johnny
Johnny.
was filming.
Yeah, he helps JB up. It's funny because he goes, "All right, bud, get in the car, get in the truck." Yep, little Jimmy right there. Look at that cord though. He's gonna crank him right now. Right there. Right
You hear that engine? You hear that?
Oh, and JB goes down. Oh shit.
You hear the engine?
Yeah. Here we go.
Are you good, bud? Take your board off. Get in the truck.
There you go.
We gotta
There's
get
Johnny.
out of there.
There's Johnny
you're fine.
taking control.
We're good.
Oh, I'm alright,
That's a poor lame fall.
I don't know if I had good. I don't know.
Oh, he caught an edge.
I was tired.
That was good stuff. All right, we're back in here. You're listening to the mAng and Neads Show live on Sonic Gardens Radio. Thanks for all the, everybody,
Take your board off. Get your stuff.
Yeah.
tuning in and listening to the show. We got, yeah,
Fucking
man.
A.
You guys are still got it going out there?
No, it's all.
Oh, there
Yeah,
you go.
yeah.
You were
we
looping.
do. Yeah. We
was
can
We're just a
hear.
little behind you.
Yeah, the show's a couple moments behind.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Lag.
Hey, we got a call-in number, 607-373-HEAT.
Heat.
If anybody wants to call in and give any updates on their life or what's going on.
Call
or,
us up and talk to us.
We'd love to hear from you. JB'd love to hear from you.
Yeah.
Yeah, been missing all you.
He misses everybody. JB's missing. What else
Yeah,
do you
man.
think, JB?
Not a whole lot, man. I kind of
What?
hope all this ends soon. You know what I mean?
Oh,
I hope we
oh.
all can get back in our
The COVID
normal
kit?
spots. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the way I see it is what we've been advised by, we do have a call-in. This is great. I think
Fucking
I'm gonna,
A. Who is it, Grace?
Oh, it's Warner. I'm going to call Warner back.
Oh, that Peckerwood.
I'm going to call you back. Here,
Come on,
Ryan.
Warner.
Phones are off the hook.
Yeah, phones are off the hook for you. Anybody but Warner, they said.
Oh, I got him right now, gentlemen.
Oh, boy. Nope. Went to his voicemail.
All right.
What happened?
Yo, Ryan, you with us? Oh,
Let's leave him a message.
here we go.
There he is.
Oh, here we go.
Oh,
here we
boy.
go.
The fucking animal doctor.
What's up, Ryan?
The
Yeah.
animal doctor. So
Yo,
you
Ri-
got JB in the studio?
Yeah, can you hear him? Say something, JB.
Hey, what's up, Ryan? Can you hear me?
What's up, buddy?
Ah,
Yeah.
just chill, man.
He wants to give you a back massage.
I couldn't figure it out. I just got back from picking ramps on a nature hike. And then I tune in and it's JB on a snowboard. I'm like, what the fuck's going on here? And then I hear his voice and I was like, wait, that's not on the recording. I was like, this motherfucker's in the studio.
Yeah.
Cool, man.
Well, he needed some internet, so I gave him a spot over in the corner. This, really, the studio has got to be clean at this point. The only people that have been in here is Josh and I. In 40,
Yeah, it was clean.
41 days. So
Till
not
today.
that like it's like crystal clean, but as far as like there's no live proteins
Right.
that haven't decomposed. So he's safe to go sit on a couch and talk into a microphone that hasn't been used by anybody else as well.
I'm like 12 feet away.
Yeah.
Cool, man.
But yeah, we are worried about our friend JB's health, and
Yeah.
we love the guy.
Yep.
So We just tried to tell him
So wear rubber, Warner.
he needs some more.
We're rubber.
We need to donate. We need to get JB some PPE. You know what I'm saying?
Yep, some PP.
He's
Was he
going
got a
with
mask?
he's
What's-
going
what's
with
he doing?
reverse.
Wearing a
He goes with
bandana?
a reverse sweatshirt.
Yeah, he does a reverse hood. He actually looks
I
good
got
when he puts
masks
it
at
on.
home. I didn't plan on coming in here today.
Oh.
I just plan on going to the shop. You know, I got plenty of masks at home.
All right.
I
Good.
just wear them when I have to go to the store and whatnot.
All right. All right.
I know how JB gets down too, man. He doesn't take up much room. That's his like pitch too. He's like, man, I'm just gonna take up this little spot right here. Put my bag here.
Put
I
my
can
bag
sleep in
here.
this little spot right here.
Oh,
Talk
boy.
about getting in where you fit in.
Yeah.
So
Now me, on the other hand, I bring.
Yep, Josh likes to sprawl out.
I like to sprawl out and bring everything.
Yeah, I'm like,
Manifest
this is all
destiny.
I need. What's that movie? What's that movie where he's like, in these flip flops? This is all I need.
I don't
Dude.
know.
About it. I went.
the dude.
You know, we did the cross country with Needham, and then I turned around and went down south with JB, and JB literally brought a backpack. Josh brought a little more.
I brought more shit than the guy that owned the van did.
Yeah, but you know what? The upsetting part is looking at all the stuff that Josh brings.
Oh boy.
But didn't you say everything
And
had
then,
to go on top?
I mean, I'm talking when I'm telling you he knows how to fill a space. This dude fills a space. Like when you see those dudes in Thailand on the moped that have like 12 people and each person's carrying like a basket of fish. That's how Josh rolls. But in me, I bring like a bunch of stuff. But when he unpacks his shit, it's like 10 times more stuff than I bring. You know what I'm saying? I unpack my stuff and it's like the same size as it was when it was packed, basically. I don't know how to condense my things. Josh, every box he brings is a goddamn clown car.
Wasn't
like
everything on the
everything.
roof and had to be repacked because everything was on the roof? Right?
Oh.
He like folds everything and rolls everything and so yeah, you definitely, I'll give you that. You make the most out of your space by far.
Yeah.
I learned a few things.
Yeah.
And then apparently shoes, because he brings 12 pair of shoes.
Those little
shit.
hippie ones. Those little hippie.
All sorts of different ones, man.
Those little
All-
hemp loafers or something he wears.
Yeah, he's got like 4 pair of those. Like the Sanooks,
Yeah.
the Skunks.
Sanook. You definitely.
Yeah, he's got 4 pair of those. Sometimes he'll roll those up. If there's a space, Josh looks at that space. Like if there's like a crack between 2 totes, Josh is like, man, I can fit 3 sneakers in there or whatever those things are.
Yep. That's
But
how
if
I
there's
do
a
it.
peg, you know, he'll roll it up and stick it in the peg. You know, it's or the hole. So everywhere there's negative space, like concrete, it's filled with Josh's footwear.
Yeah,
You
we
know, but
and we
that's-
use it to shim shit up and stuff. Yeah, make shit so it don't move around.
Yeah.
Perfect.
See, that's what I like learned, because I'll pack it and I'll drive and it'll rattle. Something will be rattling. And it's the worst because you don't know where it is, you don't know where it's coming from. But I mean, Josh took like a Sanford and Son pickup truck bed full of shit and packed that into the van, and it didn't even squeak. So, and I tried, so I had to find other shit to bust his balls about. But I did.
Yeah, he did. He did good.
There's other things.
There's other things. I do good with the ball busting myself. What story were you telling us yesterday, and then you got cut off? You were telling
that was funny, man.
Filling us
Oh
in
yeah,
with
you
a
need to
story.
finish that one.
Well, unfortunately, I think that the cutoff like saved the story, because it was basically.
Oh,
that-
really? It sounded like it was actually going to be a good story. Like you had.
Well, it's a good story because it's like it's what Josh does to everyone, and he was just talking about how people would come on Shakedown and try to sell their shit or spew their conspiracy theories or talk about the band or whatever they're doing, and Josh will dismiss them, make them fucking look at their feet and kind of be like, okay, I guess I'll just go keep walking away. And Josh would be like, but no, come on back and tell me I didn't mean, I just, whatever. And this now, and the personal, okay, well, so when I was 6, my dad left, blah, blah, blah. And Josh be like, oh, here we go again. I thought you want, Josh's like, well, back. So he gets these people to be like, okay, I guess I'll just go. And Josh's like, no, but seriously, what's your, and he'll bring them back. And the people don't know, like, he makes them decide to leave. You know what I mean? It's like their decision as opposed to him telling them they have to go. But that's what that skit was all about. That, while he's singing the song, he's like, it's the truth. And he's like, no, come on back.
Come on back.
Yeah, that's just, that was my comparison. Oh, that was a good time. I had to go tell Stacy about it. I'm like, babe, I was like, oh man, best podcast ever. And she's like, oh, that's great. More facts and figures about Corona. I'm like, no. We just ganged up on Needham about, how he acts.
And I just laughed the whole time.
Ooh.
I just laughed the whole time. That's all I did.
So I got the gorge and I vacuumed all your
For
shirts
sure.
off. I went and borrowed a vacuum.
Yeah.
And I vacuumed and Josh was like, are you done? What are you doing? You know what I mean? I'm like, I'm making yourself look good.
Did you borrow the vacuum or the air hose or the air?
Yeah, I borrowed the blower. It was a blower. It wasn't a vacuum.
It was off the.
It was a guy across the street.
Yeah, with the little dog.
Yeah. I asked him. I asked for a favor.
He travels in a caravan with 3 young dudes, and he's old enough to be our dad.
I took care of your spot.
Wait, what's that?
I don't know.
It's going back and forth.
I don't know.
Somebody
I don't have
playing?
anything,
Is
no, I
somebody
don't have
playing?
anything plugged in.
Yeah, that was me, man. I can't. I guess I can't hear you guys. I thought I was far enough away. I should probably mute it. But like, I can't hear them anymore.
Who?
Any JB or Josh.
Can you hear me now?
You can hear me though?
Yep.
How about
hear
you?
me?
You can't hear me? Unbelievable.
Huh.
Can you hear me now? He doesn't have
I'm just
5G,
catching
does
up.
he?
Like, yeah, that was the only way I could hear him talking is by listening to the show.
Really?
That's why we were set back.
So even right now, Ryan, even me, am I out?
Nope, I can hear you.
He can hear you.
It really doesn't make any sense to me then.
I hate it when we're not making sense.
How about me now?
JB's over here hooking it. He's like, how about now? Can you hear me now?
I heard Josh a little bit just now, like yell.
Can you hear me now?
Can you hear? You got
I can hear
5G? What you got? Verizon? All right.
Sorry, man.
I can hear Ryan just fine.
Yeah, well,
no.
we can hear him. He's got a
That's
pretty
happened in
little
the
voice,
past. That's
doesn't
why
he?
I feel like it's just the connection to this iPhone, possibly.
Yeah, he's got a nice little voice. Beautiful voice, Warner. Go with that pretty little hair you got.
Of an old lady.
Is that any better?
Can you
Any
hear
better?
me now?
I can hear you.
How about me?
1, 2, 3.
Nothing. But me, that doesn't even make any sense.
Huh?
I don't really get it.
I don't know, man.
Oh, sir.
Unbelievable. We just wanted to talk to the animal doctor. So does he have any story? Does he have anything for us?
Yeah, what do you got? You got
What do
any
you got for it?
you got any other story? That sucks that
Yeah, tell him he's got to pause all the time so I can say shit since he can't hear me.
It's like I didn't adjust anything though when it
We
went
were going
from-
good, right? He
Yeah,
could
I
hear
thought
us.
hear
It
us
was
to
good.
when he couldn't.
JB can hear us.
I can hear everything.
Is Warner still there?
He can't hear you.
He can
He's-
hear Ange though.
I don't think he can hear me.
I'm
hear
listening
him.
to Josh now on the playback. He's like, tell him he's got to pause so he can hear me. Just not that I could hear him, but just to give him time to talk.
Take a breath after every sentence. Yeah,
yeah.
man. So like I said, nothing. I didn't change anything, any of the settings, and for me to be going through, but not those guys. It's just
That's
weird.
what that happened before though. Remember, he couldn't hear me before when we were hooked up to a while back.
Only one of the voices.
Way back. Yeah.
I feel like the reporter, like on the news, when they're like, "Let's go to Ryan and so and so," it's like, "Ryan, you're at the whatever. So what do you think about this?"
And they just look
Reporter
at
just
you,
stands there,
staring.
5 seconds. It doesn't say shit. until
Like
they can
staring.
Like the
hear
weatherman.
The delay.
Yeah. And up here, it's gonna be cold with a northeast wind. So yeah, let's get him to talk. That's what he does best. Warner.
Can't hear you.
I know he can.
Give him 4 minutes.
Give him 4.
All right, you can hear us now, can't you?
I just heard some laughing.
Oh, can you hear me now?
I heard that. Can you hear me now?
Fucking A, you did. Yeah.
Can you hear me, Ryan?
Yep. That was you, JB?
Yeah, what's up, buddy?
JB, is it really you?
It's really me.
Yeah, we got him hid in a corner so you can't see him. It's like one of them when those people get on there and talk and don't want to be filmed.
Right. Oh, you got to put JB on there. Man, that was a good... you really did JB dirty on that last turn there. Who the fuck was watching the slack on the rope?
No shit.
And who's driving? Who slows down that much and then
Josh.
literally takes
Josh.
off like that?
It was tied to my wrist too.
Josh was driving?
Yeah, I was driving. I got a bunch of music and stuff in my ears right now.
Was that part one?
Oh,
The song?
I know why.
It was going. It was me talking too. I could hear me. It was me.
It was because when I clicked on the video, it started playing that episode, the little Jimmy episode from the beginning, the old one.
Did you ever see that episode?
Jimmy's off the ramp.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you ever see that episode, Ryan?
Yeah, on the lake.
No, the podcast that we were showing the snowboarding video out of.
Just the clip you showed me just now. Well, no, actually, no. Okay, so I've seen him. It was a while, but we scrolled through a bunch. But it was back when Ange had him on, like, you were playing him as like a screensaver or something. They were just always playing.
Oh.
But there was more on the lake, I thought, when it was Johnny Camp's
Cadillac.
Well, the Cadillac and the 4-wheeler.
And the 4-wheelers.
Cadillac, yeah. And you really, man, you JB took
a couple.
He tried to.
Yeah. Didn't you drag him like into the ramp at one point? Like he fell off early. And just it was a bad one.
Listen,
But he's like, I'm all right.
All right. So
I got 9 lives.
So he tried to slow down.
I cut an edge.
He kind of like the first couple times he got going, and then he realized that maybe I don't want to do this, and he kind of like wimped out a little bit. So he turned sideways to slow down a bunch, but he didn't realize that he was moving as fast as he was, and he caught an edge.
Yeah, well, it wasn't only that. Is that the bank to the dock was not good enough. You know what I mean? If we would have hit that full speed, my nose would have just went straight into the dock.
And ripped your legs off.
Yeah, dude. So I did not feel comfortable with that decision making. But once we got the ramp right, it was just go for it or don't. You know what I mean?
Dude, and he goes for it. I give him all the credit in the world, but somehow, like, his head got heavier and everything else, and next thing you know, he's, like, upside down.
I don't do front flips. But I did that time.
Yeah, he did that time. All of a sudden, he's floating upside down over the dock, and I'm like, oh, no, we better clear it. Oh.
Then you had to play the video, I believe I can fly.
Yeah.
And you remember when me and... I forgot his name there. The young kid crashed on the one wheel, on JB's one wheel in the same night out there in the old Sonic Gardens.
Oh yeah, Jacob.
Holy shit, man!
Oh, was that the rapper?
Yeah.
Yo, I was able to pull up that footage, so it's down in the corner of your screen, the lower corner.
I see it.
So it's just a redo of the same jump, a lot of them. And then different angles.
Yeah.
We might.
Wait, what is it? Oh, there. Okay, I see. Oh! I'm late. I'm watching it, so it's. I just started seeing it now. Oh wow!
Oh, he comes flying in and then just and then he upside down.
Wait, so that's real time? That four-wheeler's really going that fast?
Oh, yeah,
Going
yeah.
about 40?
Yeah, Josh was driving. Of course it was.
Fucking A.
Who's on the four-wheeler?
Josh.
Johnny and I. Johnny also is sitting
Johnny
on the
was on
back
the
of
back.
it with a
Josh was driving.
with a camera facing JB. We had like 5-6 cameras set up. We had one way across the lake. Like, we got that view too. We had a bunch of them going, man. There I am.
It was fun though.
Nice.
Yeah.
But I'm telling you what, so we're riding the one wheel back and forth outside of the old Sonic Gardens. So for those of you listening, it's just a dirt path packed driveway with some good sized stones. I know that because they ended up in somebody's fucking hand.
Right.
But I was getting into the swing of it to where you lean forward and you go fast and lean forward and tip your nose down. And once you get a little cocky, it's like you're riding on the nose of a surfboard. You know, the majority of it's behind you, and as long as you're going fast, you're good. So I started going back and forth, getting real cocky, and then just grounded the nose right into the ground. And the crazy part was, I crashed so hard that I couldn't even feel falling. Like, I didn't feel myself falling forward. I just know that I was standing up, and the ground came up and hit me in the face. Like, that's what it felt like. And I was like confused by it. I was like, what? And I reached my hand out, and it pushed my hand back so hard. Like, when my hand hit the ground, it just crumpled my hand. And so I hit my hand, my elbow, my head, and I was pretty tuned up. And then I walk limping back because these guys were just done taking a break, so they're inside, they're having a session. I walk inside and I'm fucking bleeding. And I tell Jacob, because he was the other kid riding it, like we were taking turns. I was like, dude, I just crashed, man. Be careful, be careful. And I went inside and like sat down on the couch, and I was bleeding on the couch, thinking that I have these awful wounds. And then like 3 people bring Jacob in, and his head was split open. His hand was really split open. Is that what it was? His wrist or his palm?
I think his wrist and his palm. Yeah, his palm to his wrist.
And then someone was like picking. Ange, was it you picking them? Or was it JB picking the stones out?
He had racks. I don't think I picked anything out, but he had racks in his hand.
I feel like you know who took care of him was Johnny. Johnny Camp.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The great.
That's who it was.
Yeah.
He was there. Yeah, that was the night. I think that was the same night where we talked about Josh's girlfriend. And it was like we were 2 detectives that were working on the same case, but we had never talked to each other, so we were like comparing notes. And I was like, where's Josh been these last? I'm like, is it true that he got married? You know? Cam's like, oh, I hope not.
Fucking Camp had a good experience.
Yeah, oh God. But anyway, yeah, Jacob got tore up, and it made me seem like I had a couple scratches on me, like I got out of it. And now I'm telling you, and it was a pretty hard crash. Like it confused me, you know. Like
I got knocked out cold a few weeks ago.
10 times harder than me.
I got knocked out.
That one wheel's scary, man. And then JB's walking around. Hey, play with flames. You're gonna catch the fire. You know.
JB's had 2 KO experiences.
Yeah, JB.
I come walking in here. These guys were doing it live, and I'm like, I'm just hurting. I know where to go.
Dirt all over him.
Yeah, just got woken up by
some
a truck
driver out back
woke
here
me
woke
up.
him up after he got done with him. He was laying in the fucking lot out here, fucking.
And all of a sudden it's like honk. Somebody's fucking waking him up in that same Moscow
All by
driveway
myself.
you're talking about.
Yeah. They're like, oh, who's this laying in a pile next to that little.
Thing's dangerous, man.
I rode it one night at 2 a.m. down there. Whatever, I did okay, but I wasn't getting wild with it.
Yeah.
I wasn't going top speed.
Once you push it, man, sky's the limit.
Yeah, it's similar to those. I mean, just in the way that the control. I mean, if it must be. Oh man, I don't know how to explain it, but the way that kids can ride those machines, the other one, the horizontal ones, not the one wheel.
The unitards.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the way
ones,
like the way the youngest children can like control those just by, leaning.
Balance.
Like I just remember the first time first day my son ever got on one, he's like sitting there able to play a video game on his phone while he cruises down around the house in circles around stuff. And I just am looking at it going, there is something that your mind like connects. And as a kid, you're such a sponge that you can like pick that up to whereas me, I'm looking at the thing going,
So you hit a pothole.
no fucking way, Yeah. So, like, I just remember, like, as a little kid, because my brain couldn't fathom how an escalator worked, like, I didn't want to go down that escalator. Like, I'm standing at the top going, no, it doesn't make any sense. I'm going to go, like, over the edge, like, horizontal and then vertical. I'm like, no, I don't get it. I don't get it. I'm not taking this route, And as I'm older, I realized that's not how it worked. And, they don't actually, like, roll down the stairs. So,
Right.
Yeah.
Is that you blowing up, JB?
Man, no, that's me, I'm sure.
Oh.
Because I got my phone right up to it.
Huh. You're a busy guy.
No, it was actually me.
It was you.
Oh, it was you.
JB. Yeah, that's that fucking little Dickie
No,
over there.
it was actually John watching the
Is
podcast.
that you coming in first?
What? Oh,
On the go-kart?
and the go-karts? I can't remember.
Passing everybody?
Yeah, I was cruising, wasn't I? Down there. Carolina. Down there in the Beltway. So what's going on out there in Oxford today, Warner?
Ramps, man.
Oh, yeah, ramps.
They're everywhere.
Yeah. I see
Ramps.
that. I see
There's
that.
a lot of people out, man. A lot of people out there. Dude, we're on a seasonal road or a forest access road
Yeah.
by Ludlow, and we're pulled over, and 5 cars passed.
You and your girlfriend?
Yeah, and the kid.
And the kid. You brought the kid with
We're
you.
all out getting leaks in the dog. We're thinking we're out in the middle of nowhere,
You weren't?
and 5 cars, man. Well, 1 car turner, so like 4 cars. But I was like, what the,
Yeah.
And where we wanted to go, someone was already there. So I think people are coming out and they're doing what we've been doing. So it's just, I got nothing against it. But
Yeah.
they're lifting the regulations, on their own.
Right.
But it's the first nice day in a while, so I'm sure.
Yeah, don't worry. It's going to get back to reality here in a day or two.
Yeah, it just seems like the inevitable is that it's going to be a return in the fall and the same thing. So, we'll see what happens.
Well, it hasn't gone away yet, though.
No, that's what I'm saying. Like the same type of like lockdown if they don't, if it opens up, like if things start to open up. But there's some things that just won't come back even then.
Right.
Like like we've talked about, there's still not going to be large concerts of people packing in on some field and, 2 inches away from each other, sweating on each other all summer.
Breathing hot breath on someone.
Yeah, it's just not happening. IMO.
So what do you guys, did you hear about the speculation about coronavirus being transferred similar to the range of your farts?
Oh, yeah.
Well, we've talked about that.
Yeah.
That was the whole, that's obviously one of our big things from the beginning was the whole, like, not full-blown aerosol like we, but the situation where you can, if you can smell someone,
Right.
then that's enough to get the, and it just seems to me that that's been the case. Like, that's been what it was. That's why you guys that's why they said 6 feet apart.
That's
but
why they
really,
said
but then
no
you started
rim
going,
job.
well, wait a
Really,
minute.
fucking
If
12 feet.
some people get talking, even me right now, I'm spitting all over my mic. And it's
Well, that's
like,
good. But you got the door shut and a glass.
true. But if you're right across
yeah,
from me,
yeah.
then all of a sudden,
I'm in
like
danger.
when people say to somebody, oh, he's got a lot of wind or something, that's what, like, like something like that. Then all of a sudden it's because every puff is like pushing it and propelling that sound further, like, and that range. So, it's just like anything. If the sound is reaching there, then technically, with the right push, my little droplets and such can reach too. Hey, I'm not a doctor. But I got a good what stuck up my what.
Yeah, medical.
Yeah.
Medical.
There's
I'm not a medical doctor, but
he's-
I'm a
yeah, so
doctor,
it's like you're
all
not
right.
you're not gonna catch it from smelling farts
Right.
because the virus isn't in your colon, right?
But
It's
you
in your
can,
lungs.
but you can get it from licking butthole,
If you're
Warner.
close enough, that means your mouth is doing the same thing. What'd he say?
He said you could get it from licking butthole.
So don't be sewer
Well, we'll
chewing.
see.
Yeah, don't be down there.
We'll see. Come check.
Yeah, Uncle Sewer
But
chewing.
not if you bleach it.
Yep, bleacher ain't. But Warner's practiced that for many years, so he's ahead of the curve. Anal bleaching.
Well, I stopped bleaching it because I didn't want to shave and bleach. And if you bleach your asshole, you just end up with this scary orange
Sure.
ass hair.
You show right,
Right.
in the photo.
And it is
Right.
weird looking.
You show right in the photo. I think he missed it.
Oh, that's good
But,
stuff, man.
But yeah, it's almost like a warning, kind of, you know what I mean? Because if you think about blowing out a hit of smoke, allegedly, you know, think how far that goes, man. I've watched that shit go up to streetlights.
Yeah,
You know,
and
I'm-
There you go,
even
Warner.
okay. What about and even beyond that, not just smoke, but the vape pens.
Vapor.
The
Yeah.
vapor
See, well, let me ask you
pens.
this.
Think
That
about-
was my question, actually.
Oh,
Do you think that smoke acts differently than your breath
I
when
think.
you breathe it out?
oh yeah.
Well, you got the smoke
Yeah.
is heavy. The smoke is
so
heavy,
it doesn't
so
travel as far.
so I think it would. I think it travel. Oh, I don't know. You're right.
Well, smoke is smoke, though.
No,
it
so
doesn't
maybe
always
smoke
have
isn't,
water in it.
because
And mist
smoke
in it.
rises, so it's
Yeah.
not as heavy.
But your
Somehow.
breath rises
Well,
probably at a higher, faster rate than smoke, because I would think smoke's bringing it down.
depends how much
Like
hot
smoke
air you
makes
got,
it linger.
Warner.
Well, we're
You know,
all.
so and when you vape, that happens also. It stays lower because it's more. There's more vapor in it. I'm assuming.
Well, you got we're 98.6 degrees. So when you're breathing, you imagine that breath is 98.6
hot air.
degrees.
Right. And air is 80% nitrogen. You know that?
I didn't.
Me either. I mean,
He
it's
just-
the same
he
thing.
just
I'm
made
following
it
your
up.
boy there, Duncan.
Warner just made that up. Fucking A. He got together with
And
his
did
doctor.
you know that 43% of facts are made up?
Yeah. He
Yeah.
got together with Trump real quick.
100% of the time.
We'll say this.
50%.
No, I
of the
believe
time.
that though. I mean, obviously that's like elementary to someone
Right.
that knows that stuff, you know. It's like
Yeah, well, the misconception was that we breathe oxygen. The air is made of oxygen. But if that was the truth, then
it's
the
like
world
somebody
would
being
explode
like
every time you lit a match.
did you know, Ryan, that yellow's a primary color?
Yeah.
He did. He definitely did.
I did. I mean, I knew.
And we're like, you know, if you're talking to some like
right.
second graders, then they're like, yeah, you know, like that's us.
And
So you can
I
tell
got
us.
you.
I'm not picking on your fact, no,
Right.
without a doubt. I'm just saying that like to someone, they're like,
To some people,
yeah,
it's obvious.
yeah, I knew that, duh.
Yeah.
But I personally didn't, so thank you.
Oh.
Yep. Man, I'm telling you, Josh, when are you gonna switch that background picture to put you and your girl up? Hey, JB, man, JB, welcome to the show.
Hey,
Have JB. What do you think about Josh's old girlfriend?
Oh.
Uh,
No, she wasn't my fucking girlfriend.
She- I
JB,
don't
can
got a
you
lot.
share some
God
of your
damn
experiences
it.
on the road?
I had to get stuck in the car with her. For
She
quite
was
a
his
while.
Yeah.
employee, from what I
Yeah.
understand.
Yeah, from what I understand, Warner.
Dude,
She was an
JB,
employee.
what do you think, man?
What I think, man, I couldn't deal with it, man. Not even riding in the car with her. It was horrible. Horrible experience. Horrible time. Horrible everything, man. I figured her name. I'm so glad I figured her name. You know her name? What's her name? Can we say that on here?
It was in
no.
Josh's phone is Nessie Nessa.
Oh,
Vanessa,
God.
that was her name, Vanessa. Yeah, man.
Yeah. She's always good for a laugh.
That was a good one. Woke me up.
What's it like splitting a hotel with her, JB?
Yeah, JB,
well-
tell us about hanging out with her like you did.
She like as mad as.
Do you think she lies or anything?
Anyways, get back to the hotel today and like.
He didn't
she-
want to. He
she
didn't want to
comes off-
confirm
she-
or deny.
No, I'm just
Well,
gonna be honest, man.
Josh asked
She
a
comes
question
off-
but doesn't
she
wait for
comes
the
off,
answer.
She can come off as a decent person, but then
Oh,
as it
really?
goes off farther, you figure it out, and
Yeah.
she's just like way out there, way out to lunch. She's always trying to figure out her next angle to play
Yep.
on anybody. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like she did with Brad, like she did with you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? The rides, the fucking bullshit.
Try to
And
find your
then-
next Josh
And
to,
then
to
like
fall in love
just
with her
annoying
and
things
not
like
leave her behind.
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Claims how she dances harder than anybody at a show. And then Tab plays in the car. Brad was driving. She's like, "Who's Tab?" Brad had to stop the car. He's like, "You claim to be one of the biggest Fish fans. You don't know who Tab is?"
Yeah.
You know, like she's like, it's just, you know, I mean, just little things, but I mean, it turned into a lot of big things. To be
Yeah.
honest with you, next thing I know, was dating my buddy I met at Peach Fest.
Right.
Kenny, and I only met Kenny because at Peach Fest, and I thought he was a really cool dude, and we had a great time at Peach Fest. Then next thing I know, I'm at the Gorge, and he's hanging out at Warner's tent.
Oh,
I'm like,
that
Warner?
douchebag.
Yeah, Kenny,
That's
your friend Kenny.
He wasn't my friend. He was Warner's buddy.
Sitting on the couch
He
behind
wasn't my
Warner's
buddy.
booth.
Hey, no one that wears a cape is
He
my
had a
buddy.
cape.
Yeah,
He wore like
That's Kenny.
like he was a fish superhero.
I like Kenny.
Unless
Kenny's
you
a
have a
good kid.
fucking sword, if you're wearing a cape, you're not my buddy.
Right. Dude, the dude come in one day. There was a chair that they had brought and left and whatever. He came one day and folded it all up and stormed out of there. Fucking took it right with him. They would come down and hang out and piss Warner off.
I got nothing bad to say about Kenny. Kenny was just brought up because he was stuck on that girl, man. That girl just brought evil out of people. You know what I mean? She did. She brought evil out of people. Like, I wanted to jump out of the car so many times, and I wasn't even a driver or nothing. I was just in the back seat. You know what I mean? I wanted out. I wanted out bad. You know, and I can keep going.
How
on.
many? What, you guys all rented a car? That was the
Well,
deal?
Brad got her to put it in her name.
Yeah. So who had the angles?
But anyways, she didn't drive much, and you know I didn't drive at all. I just rode.
Well,
But
they didn't let you drive, JB.
I don't drive, man. You know that.
Oh.
Man, it must be weird for Kenny that he kept looking for her and she'd turn up sitting on
In Josh's
Josh's
van.
bumper every morning because Josh wouldn't let her in the van.
Oh boy.
Or he'd kick her out.
That's
I'd
true
hear
too.
door slam in
That's
the
a
middle of the
true
night and there'd be a
story,
girl
'cause-
crying on Josh's
That's
van
a true
step.
story. I woke up to it because I slept on your blow up couch. out,
Yeah.
And I'd wake up and there she was sitting right there.
Creeping.
Josh is out.
She was
Doors are locked.
She was our
on
surveillance.
the
She was our
bumper.
security. No one came near any of our vans or our stuff. Fucking.
Yeah, well, shit, I remember, damn, the Gorge, I remember getting up late, waking up late at like 9 o'clock, swarming with people, and then, like, coming out and JB's got everything opened up and dusted off, all your T-shirts
Yeah.
dusted off,
I was working.
you know, and I was like, oh, Josh would be out any minute. And then, 11 o'clock, something like that, JB's
Yeah.
like, hey, how much for this? I was like, 2 for 20, man, 2 for 20, whatever. And, you know, but he's got hats and stickers and, like, all sorts of other stuff. And we're just like, we don't know. 11 o'clock, Josh rolls out of bed
I got
at the
baked.
Gorge
I
for
got.
the first time ever. Normally he's like 7 a.m.
Yeah, but I started getting baked again. Remember?
I had a lot of cash for you.
Yep. But the funny part is right as I was about to bust his balls, I had so much shit to bust his balls about. And as soon as I start to tell my first joke at his expense, stumbling out behind him is old Nessie Nessa.
She'd been hanging out on the bumper.
But he doesn't talk to her. They were probably sitting in there like hostages all
Just
morning.
staring at
Josh's
each
like,
other.
no, we can't. We gotta do something. I should drive the van away and drop you off. We can't
Just-
get out. Let me
just-
just sneak you out the window.
Just a 4-hour long awkward stare.
Yes.
Oh, the Wook Nook.
She didn't stay in the Wook Nook at the Gorge.
Oh man.
Man, JB, I wish you were there for the first
Oh man.
time we brought this girl up. Man, it was just me and Johnny. It just busting Josh's balls, man. We would have had a third party. It would have been perfect.
I wasn't even around and they were busting my balls.
I knew her without knowing that you guys knew her.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That was weird.
Well,
JB's like, oh, her.
I'm like,
Warner
okay.
knew her first, and then
Yep.
yeah,
And the
Little-
longest.
and the longest.
Yo, what do you think of the new image?
I
you,
like
you
it.
were right. I had to
That's dope.
trade it out, and I put it on. Look at this though, too, man. I linked,
Lights? I see
yeah.
lights behind me.
look at this. I linked it up though. I got it on my camera too. Look at that one.
I can't.
Dicks.
All
That
I see
one's
is me.
So now it's almost like we're sitting right next to each other, Josh. To the people at home, they wouldn't realize that we're in different rooms.
We are.
Oh wait, I didn't see it yet. It must switch soon.
I don't know. I don't see Angelo. I see lights though.
You're gonna see it in a minute.
All right. Is that what you tell them all?
Dicks.
You're gonna see it in a minute.
Wait for it.
Wait for it, baby. So what do you got for us, JB?
I'm getting hungry.
Yeah,
getting
Josh, you
hungry?
change your name. You'd be the Hamburger Man or something.
Josh tried scaring off my freaking Magros delivery guy the other day.
No, I didn't.
He circled him like twice.
I bet. Listen, I pulled out here and the fucker stopped at a dead stop and waved me on. So I was like, "Fucking A, I'm not stupid. I'll go." I was out here in the parking lot. I never seen anybody.
Well, you didn't know where my shop was, you know.
He
It was my
didn't
food.
ask either. He was out there fucking. Then he was out of the vehicle. So then I was staring him down, thinking he was trying to steal some shit out here.
I told him to call me when he gets here because
So he like got out of his truck and he's looking in the back of it, and then he's looking, and then I saw him with shit in his hands, and then I'm like, fuck.
It's my chicken tenders.
Oh man, chicken tenders, huh?
Yeah, double order.
Double order? From where was it?
Magros.
Magros. Chicken tenders you ordered from Magros, huh?
Yeah, it's easy.
Oh, all right. Yeah. No, I'm not. Yeah. It is easy.
I'm sure it's easy.
Fucking throw them in a goddamn fucking poof. Yeah, well, I was
Oh,
going...
I did find that. I found that footage of the I knew it was in, but it actually ended up being in a different episode. The one with the jumping the on the lake with the caddy and shit.
Yeah, I got.
So,
we could you could just pull up the YouTube video, fucking, and show it with Johnny rolling the fucking Cadillac across the lake.
I think this might be that whole section too.
Yeah,
Oh, it's
it
a
goes
great-
on long.
It's a great one.
Yeah, I flipped it over.
I got NWAs on there when Johnny pulls out on the lake, straight out of Compton.
All right.
Crazy mother.
See, did they tag you on a song like that?
No,
Like when you put that video on YouTube?
No, nobody did nothing to me. Here we are. Look at this. This looks like a. Right? It looks like
Oh boy.
It looks like a fucking shit
My
show.
hand cramped up there for a second.
Yours did? Oh, hand crampy.
All right.
What?
I'm going to plug you in here, Ryan. See if we got her working again, maybe.
Oh. Hey. Can
Sorry
you hear
about
me?
that. Sorry about that, people.
So what are you doing over there, Warner?
Just watching JB
Oh, there you go.
escape death.
So you could hear that.
See, we have a camera right here, Warner. You can see it. It's like on the other side of the lake. And then we go on the other side of the lake with the
There's the ramp, right?
the dock.
The dock.
Yeah. And then we have other cameras, obviously. We're just full
Big
of cameras.
operation. Just a big operation.
Yeah.
Remember when they had the fucking perch derby? Or
Yeah.
whatever it was, not perch derby, but the ice fishing.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
perch,
dude, it
right?
used to be the perch derby. All right, my whole childhood growing up, like Eddie did it, my neighbor, right? We did that,
Yep.
and we would go down there and help them set it up. And there'd be motherfuckers down there because we bring it out a ways on the lake, so they drive vehicles out there. They'd take Curtis and I and Roger'd come down sometimes, dude, and we'd go around. They'd take us out on fucking snowmobiles all around the lake. Like, it was a fucking day of fun setting up for. This is the day before the perch derby.
Right, when you're setting up.
Oh yeah, we go out there
Um,
plowing with George around the lake when we got too much snow, dude. It was fun.
So what year was it when they pulled up someone's new Chevy?
Oh,
Like
That
a
was
truck in it.
after. So Eddie quit doing it, and Mayhoods and those guys, they took, and like the people from Oxford took it over. And then when they
Right.
took it over, they fucking fucked it all up. And then
I thought there was like a truck that someone could win, or it was like the sponsor,
No,
and they brought a new
it was a
Chevy
guy
out. It's
that-
like, look at the new Silverado.
No, it was a guy. He was out there plowing around, and they brought stuff because they put the shed out there still out in the lake. And then he had plowed snow, and then he plowed some more later on, and he went over by one of the piles where he did, and it
dropped, right?
Since there was, it
Yeah,
dropped
no,
is
they had to
right.
put out
Well, the front end went
Sunk
in.
the
I
whole
remember
truck,
that.
man.
Well, the front end went in first, and then they were able to hook some cable to it.
No, they
at
tried
least.
lifting it and it dropped back in.
Well,
It
the whole,
broke.
but listen, they were able to hook a fucking cables to it, and then hook a cable all the way across from where it was out of the lake to the shore. They were able to hook cables to it. So when it did finally fall to, it had a cable on it, which was a whole nother ball game. So they were able to get it out, wenching it out from the road with they used a couple
Break the
different.
ice.
Well, the first time they tried it, it came up and it dropped back down.
Right.
And it went right back down in the ice. And they're like, oh, we got to try something different.
Man, you guys are going pretty fucking fast in this 4-wheeler, huh?
Yeah.
Well, Josh is driving and he just wanted to see me get hurt, I think.
No, I don't. We didn't go up there to
But
putt
Josh,
around.
Josh is the one that made me wear a helmet. I was like, fuck a helmet. I don't want to wear a helmet.
Yeah.
I'm kind of glad I did after watching it.
I made him wear a helmet.
I was like, fuck
I
a helmet,
fucking
dude. I don't need
know.
no helmet. I
I
wasn't
know
planning
about
on doing
safety.
front flips. But
I've crashed before. I know you need a helmet on.
I was like, here's another beer. Wear a helmet. Here's another
Yeah.
beer. Wear a helmet.
Well, I mean, you didn't turn it down. Like,
Fuck
come
no.
on now. What the fuck? You were drinking. If we didn't give you beer, you would have been complaining about you were thirsty.
True.
We did a couple hot laps to get them acclimated with the weather
Jesus
up
Christ. Ooh.
What do you-
I can't even see it. I'm just laughing with you. Because I can picture it in my head.
No, you landed on the dock there. It was like on the dock
I
crash.
clapped. The one time I
damn it,
clapped, I
man.
said, let's do it again.
That's hard to
Yeah.
watch.
He's a good. JB's good.
What?
He's good.
Why? What? There's
What?
no ramp up to the dock. What were you trying to do?
No, there is a ramp right before the dock. This the ramp. to the
a
dock.
poorly built one, dude. That we
Yeah,
just
well,
we patted together
now
with our
he's
gloves.
picking on the ramp build.
It was just
What?
going fast and
It was
just going
snow.
at
We
it.
put snow. We packed it in.
The snow wasn't even
Yeah.
packable.
Okay. I see. You have a ramp built out of snow.
Yeah. Well, what do you build a fucking ramp out in the winter of, huh?
What's the dock built out of?
Out of fucking wood.
No shit. You think one's gonna give before the other? Jesus Christ!
Look
Look
at
at it.
me
It's a foot off the ground. Look at how high that deck is.
Look how I
We built the ramp out of snow.
What the
Massive
Jesus.
ramp you guys got there.
Oh man,
It's a good one.
They're
man.
like, just get on and ride,
that's
dude.
too funny. It is crazy. You guys
It
ever
looks
watch
like-
Star
It looks
Wars?
like we're lacking some snow. Look it out in the woods. It wasn't exactly like the greatest day.
Look at the ramp they built up.
There's like
That's-
an inch of snow and
Nah,
there's
that ramp
nothing
is
in the
huge.
woods.
Yeah, you can tell Curtis wasn't there. Curtis would have built a better ramp.
We just patted it down with our
Oh
gloves. man.
shit.
But you guys see the Star Wars with when Yoda, like old Yoda, fucking fights somebody and does cartwheels and flips in the air and all that stuff.
Yeah. I've
and then
seen
gets his cane and like limps away again.
it. Yeah.
That's what I thought. That's what I pictured. JB on we were in Charleston, South Carolina on lot, and this kid had his skateboard and he
yes.
just kind of like walked away from it.
Look at
checking
that
some
ramp.
t-shirts out.
Oh,
JB like picks it up and he's kind of like hobbling over, like he's got a sprained ankle already, and he just starts running and jumps on the board and turns around and almost lands a pop. Was it pop shove it?
No, it was a fakey big spin.
It was something where
fakey
you
big
kick the
spin.
board out and it does like a 360
A fakey big
underneath you, like a
spin. You
kickflip
do a
360.
180 and the board does a 360.
And
Fakey
almost
big spin.
lands it. And I was like, how the fuck? And then his balance is like he's got it. And like what you're talking about, what a kid has. Like he's just got that innate ability. Like you can
Yeah,
tell.
he's 5'1".
He's,
That's
he's
what
not
they.
gonna fall.
7.
What?
No, 6.
But and then I'm pretty sure JB, you landed that, didn't you?
I did.
Is he still
Yeah, I
on there?
did. I wouldn't stop till I did. No, the
No, I
kid's
can't
like,
hear him if he is.
I did land it. I kept going till I did land it. The kid wanted his board
Anybody out
back.
there?
Yeah. You
The
can't
kid
hear
wanted
him?
his board
Oh
back.
shit, we lost you? Yep. I know what happened because I moved the phone, man. I touched it. And then all of a sudden,
Uncle Touchy.
how about now?
Hello?
Warner.
Warner, you still with us? Here we go. We're going to try this maybe because it locked.
Uncle Warner.
Ryan, you still with us?
Yep.
All
Can
right.
you hear me?
Can you hear him?
I don't hear anybody else though.
You
I
don't.
Hear you.
You don't hear
So
anybody
weird
else?
How that is. Oh, you know why? I bet you because
I don't.
what it's saying is that you can hear me, I can hear you.
But you can't hear me. Or JB.
I think I know why.
Oh.
Yeah, it's like, oh, you don't need to hear what Josh and JB are saying.
No, it
Oh.
might be that you could actually hear me through my, like, the actual phone, but
Oh.
the connection.
I can hear Ryan just fine.
Yeah. He can't hear us.
But you
though.
can't hear those guys still, right?
Nope.
Yeah, you could a minute ago. All right.
Could've.
Yeah.
So hey, I should probably I know we're talking. I guess we shouldn't break it up, but I just always wanted to keep a
What did you want to do,
song.
Angelo?
I just always wanted to keep a song flow going.
Oh, what do you
Hey,
got?
you know what I wanted to mention because you're on the phone too, Ryan, because you can hear me, right?
Yep.
All right.
Yep.
So I'll just talk to him. You guys can listen for a
Well,
second.
what the fuck?
Well, we're playing the video. We're playing the video. You know, you can even talk about the video.
Oh.
Okay, so
We can't see.
here we go. I'll turn this up. Wait, can you hear Josh now?
Hey, Warner.
Hey,
Yeah.
Okay,
up?
that'll work.
Sounds good, don't
But
it?
let me tell you, since you brought up that you enjoyed that song yesterday, that was like started out ching cha-ching ching ching ka-ching.
Oh
ching.
yeah.
And at
Big
first
time.
you're like, what's
Oh,
this? It
yeah.
was really echoey. Well, I just wanted to share with you that you can't make out all the lyrics in that song, but the song's called Sweethearts Forever, and it's
Right.
Beautiful words in there, written like from the start of like a young relationship and moving on. But the one of the closing lines that I mentioned to I just wanted to share was that it says, only people made of glass can die from broken hearts.
Wow.
What a nice
Now
one.
that's Rasmussen singing.
Yeah, that's
Kurt.
That's Jeff's brother Kurt, but it is Jeff's song. My dad on the drums.
Jeff
and
who?
Jeff Rasmussen. I don't know if you know. You might, because he used to teach in Oxford. Actually. He
Get
used
the
to be-
fuck. That's the same guy.
Yeah.
Man.
So
the
you
things
do know
don't
him.
know.
Yeah.
He just
Okay.
seems- I know Rasmussen. He just seemed like a lame old man. You know what I mean? Like the normal fucking teacher. I don't know. I don't
man.
remember the name. He was older. Like he was.
Oh, you know
like
what?
he was-
Your father would know who he is for sure. And for me, him and my dad were really close. His son, he has a son that was born 2 weeks after me, so we grew up together like brothers, for a huge part of our life, and so a lot of this stuff, it's all
Yep.
like linked up. But like my dad, those guys been playing music since the early 60s, and yeah, so it's just a huge part. I love sharing that, because to me,
Oh yeah, the dude can.
to me,
sing,
he's
too,
like
man.
one of the he's got to be like he's got to be, I don't know, man, there's so many. I understand, because this is, like I said, opens up to that there's so much amazing talent. But for me, for a person to write as many amazing, awesome songs as Jeff has, you cannot keep him out of the greatest of all time, man. Like you put him up against anybody and you say, whatever. Some guy's got a career where he did 6 albums and he's got, how many songs that were phenomenal, like just in that sense. And it's like a ratio. Then you have a band that's like one out of 20 songs are cool, or 1 out of 10. But it's like Jeff writes every song is like just awesome. That's my that's how I see it, man. So I got lots more of that stuff to share.
Yeah, no, that's cool, man. I remember. And so, what song did you close on?
Cool, man.
Something Wendy, how you doing?
Hey Molly.
Hey,
Molly, how
Molly.
you doing? Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good song too, man. I like that.
Who's Wendy?
I like it a lot, man.
Well-
It kind of has like a Jim Croce feel to it, you know.
So what's kind of cool? What's kind of cool about that one too? Hey Molly, in general, was that
What's up, girl?
when I was young and originally found these reel to reels. Oops, what happened there? Oh, when I was young and I originally found the reel to reels, they were like, I found I found basically 2 of them that I was able to play and record. So like right away I played and recorded them and made a tape. And that tape, you know, even way back then, so I'm like, you know, coming up 15, 16, 17, and I'm like, you know, pumping all this stuff on my friends, you know, even in that level of like, yo, I made this tape, take it home and listen to it, put it in your car.
Fucking
You
jam
know,
it.
so I actually shared that with you know, many friends, and like one of the posts today, you know, good friend out there listening, Scott Babbitt, he you know, he remembered the Moon Hill Band. And I figured he would, because it's like I said, to me, these songs are like part of learning, you know, Midnight Special or something, you know, like just some song that's like a hit of the past that you know, you're coming up learning about. You hear your first version of your first Jimi Hendrix or Hey Joe or like whatever it is that makes you go, oh wow, this is awesome. And if you weren't told that like that, or if it wasn't pumped down your throat by the radios, then you wouldn't know that it was like anything. You know what I mean? So to me, I realized that music, the only difference is the way it's promoted and pushed. So like if, you know, because if no one ever heard Midnight Special and I played that song, you know, somebody'd go, oh, that's a good song. I wonder, you know, why that never became popular or something like that. And that's my point, is that to me, like, Hey Molly is up there as one of the greatest tunes of all, you know, written ever, man. What a great song.
I would have to think that if you told me, you're like, oh yeah, that was the Billboard's top song in 1965. 19
right,
whatever, 7.
And
70.
who knows, maybe
I would believe you, man. Like I have like the classic sets.
I would
like
believe you.
I first got into classic rock in like 67, so it's like barely classic.
Yeah, and this
rock.
is like pre-classic. Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like even my father is like you know, he started playing the drums in the 50s. So it's like when you really think about, that's you know, pre like Beatlemania and pre, you know, I mean, it's like coming up when rock and roll was, you know, just coming out. It was like the I don't even know how you'd, you know, I mean, what would you compare it to now?
Well, Buddy
It's
Holly was coming out, so that he was just getting people like that were just getting kicked.
Yeah, so my dad was covering, you know, Chuck Berry, Buddy Holly, like so many songs and so much of that.
By the sound of it, the first song that you guys played, like his drumming was more like jazz drumming than it is like rock drumming, like doonch doonch, you know, like.
Well, yeah, there was some. I think there was some. Yeah, my dude, my dad's he's an amazing drummer. What I like, my dad's like a human metronome, and as like a musician, especially me coming up, you know, like if I strummed a acoustic, you know, Bob Dylan tune, it's like my dad's beat was so metronome that, like, you know, kept everything in time and allowed me, you know, that's one of my qualities, I think, is that I can keep time pretty well.
Man, I can't for the life of me. It's awful.
But yeah, so that's like so either way, it's like that's like, you know, just kind of one of those things that yeah, man, that's like that's a huge inspiration.
You're the inspiration.
And I actually, man, today, what I thought a good song to share today from that clip was a song that my dad wrote.
All right.
There is, listen to this crazy insanity. You know, and to finish the story, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry, Josh, if I didn't finish that, but he brought it up. And what I wanted to say was like on top of that, so I had this album that my friends listened to, and it had they were recording professional, like reel to reel that was done at a music studio in Syracuse, and there was like 8 songs on there that were original tunes, and that's the one I heard that I said, oh my God, what is this stuff? And then there was another one that had 4 songs, and that was also pretty clean and enough to like get it on a tape to where, you know, like especially back in the 90s, we weren't like music you know, super sensitive about like earphones and like, you know, I mean, well, yeah, we always had car stereos and trying,
fucking jamming,
equalizers, man, and shit like
Equalizer.
that. But you know what I'm saying. So anyway,
Got
later
4
on,
tens.
so there's this whole stack of reels, and I said to myself, "Oh, I'm gonna fish through these things some more and see if I can find anything else cool." And that's when I discovered 2 other albums like of this band. One of them was a live performance of almost every song that they had recorded on that studio recording. So it was like heaven to me. It was like finding a bootleg copy of your of the Beatles. It was like, what? As like an adult, you know what I mean? And
the Beatles.
And so that's kind of where I've deemed myself like an archivist. Is that the right word?
Well,
I think so. I don't know where to put any inflection on word. That's it. The archive.
Yeah.
Talking in
So-
a fucking
Caught that
cylinder,
episode where
Warner?
you talked about that with Josh, how that's what you wanted to do with Sonic Gardens is build your archive of live music.
Right, and it's kind of like, and this band there is the inspiration of that, and what's awesome, and it's just like, like I said, if I didn't pull these things out of my basement when I was 15, then
They'd still be there.
They'd still be there. Yeah, pretty
Right?
much. So hey, man, rescued, saved, and put to good use, I guess.
What the fuck is all that racket? I keep hearing racket. Is that
That's
you, JB?
that's Warner.
Oh.
Warner's busy man. He's got a young.
It
one
sounded
up
like
there.
he fucking was
What, you
talking.
could hear him running around?
Yeah, it sounded like you were talking from inside your toilet too, man. I get this like
I can't
echo
hear Josh
chamber, like it was wild.
What's
He had it on
saying?
speakerphone, I'm sure.
Oh,
Do I have it on speaker now?
I don't know. It sounded.
God damn it.
You do? It sounds like you're in an echo, like
All
in.
right, how about now?
Sounded like yeah.
All right, listen, Ryan. You
All
need to
right.
get what I said, and that is you need to get a little Bluetooth thingy, and you need
Yep.
to, and then, dude, you can do all your chores. You can do anything you got to do. You can feed. You can have this going on, and you can just talk.
feed.
You can just
And-
talk, man. You walk around free.
But then I have to listen carefully for Josh to talk.
Yeah.
No.
do.
You don't want to put, because that's what'll happen. You do that enough, it'll build up that passive aggression inside of him, and then he'll start with the sighs and the old boys.
Yeah, I had a hard time getting through that story. I was like, he was letting me know. He's like the guy. He's like, if he was in my ear, which he is,
Yeah.
I guess, because I'm looking at him, and he's like, "Okay, get on with it, kid. Your story's
He's
getting
like, "Come on, Cole.
dumb.
Come
Your
on,
story's
Cole."
getting
Come on,
old.
Cole."
Nobody cares."
Yeah. But
Well,
I'm
he doesn't
polite.
care.
I'm
That's another
polite.
thing. Let me tell
What?
you this.
Whoa, Warner.
This is another thing. The good thing I can't hear him because I can just talk over him now with an excuse.
Oh
But
man, he
another
can't
thing
hear
that
me.
he does
You
is that
can't
if
hear
you're
us?
doing something that he's not interested in, just like, or that doesn't involve him, just like Emmett, my son, he will start making a fucking racket doing something else.
He is right
if
now.
you're not paying attention.
He
to him.
is right now.
So like the adult version is like you'll be telling a story, you're talking, and Josh will just yawn really loud, just to let you know how much he's not interested in. And then when you're done telling your story, you end up having to say things like, "So, that's it for that story," and then Josh will still be quiet, like he's like, "Oh, what's, or, oh, now you're done." You know, he'll try to make it super awkward when
You guys
you're
still
done
can't
telling
hear
the
me,
story.
right?
I can
Not
hear
try
you.
to pick it up and be like, "Well, here's what," even though he can't wait to talk, he lets you know.
Yeah.
You gotta watch out for that, man.
The podcast can hear you too, JB. Just he can't in his earpiece. That's
Because
all.
Josh was clicking away right when Ryan started talking, because he definitely didn't want to hear what Ryan
Yeah.
had to say.
So anyway, that's what I have to say about that story.
Fucking
Love
hey.
it. Love it.
Ah,
Always can use a hand from Ryan calling in,
Yeah.
helping me out with
he
this.
does. He needs
Little Josh wrangling.
Wrangle him in.
wrangle him in.
It's funny because he's the only thing. My screen's turned down, so he's the only thing I can see. It's funny judging by the delay, like what he's hearing.
Ah.
Man, you know what's crazy, man? We got to come up with something because he's getting a real nice, the pony. He's starting to look like a real, what's that? The ones that they put in the races? A thoroughbred?
Oh, right?
Oh.
Is it thoroughbred?
I think it looks like an iguana that climbed up his head and perched
Oh.
on top. That's how I
I
always
think it's
of it.
beautiful. I think
Yeah,
it looks great,
it's
man.
actually majestic.
Oh, iguanas are majestic lizards.
Yes, it's majestic. I was all right. So I helped mow today. Did some essential mowing, and I was cruising on the mower, man, and my hair just in the wind. Just I'm telling you, I went by one of the windows on the building I was mowing. Oh, dude, It was just float. All my hair was just floating, like just. It was a sight
That's
to.
good.
It was a
That's so
sight to
good.
behold, man. It was wild.
Going past the windows when you were mowing. That's perfect.
Yeah, I'm telling you,
blowing
and
in
I
my
had good speed going. Oh, it was
Right, it'll get you a little flip.
Yeah.
Get those
Oh,
curtains-
oh,
get
I'm
those
telling
curtains
you.
blowing in the
Yeah,
wind.
they were just like a horse's ass, like a tail.
I need a photo of that.
Now,
Yeah,
how
you
did he?
do.
Why is he coming in? He's kind of like coming in and out. I heard him really good for a minute.
Oh, well, it's because I got these Yeah, I got you now. I did do something. So yeah, sorry about that.
Ange is always working for our betterment in here, man.
That's
he doesn't
right.
fuck around.
This guy is multitasking.
Yeah, he's doing that. He's putting new pictures up that I sent him 2 weeks ago. So he's on the ball.
Nice.
Got
Nice.
me hooked up to wireless.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
We got JB hooked up wirelessly.
yeah. I even took care of that in between
Fucking
business.
Ange don't mess around down here.
No, that's what I was saying, man. I think that you would be doing yourself a real injustice if you didn't make a time lapse video of the progression, the Sonic Gardens from the shit box warehouse it was to what it is now.
Shitbox warehouse.
It looked awful. The first time
Oh,
Ann
yeah,
took me
man.
through, well, of course, I didn't know what was going to be what because in the
Oh.
beginning there's 3 huge buildings and there's an upstairs and downstairs.
And you just did a full tour of like where
Yeah,
are we
we
gonna
went
go?
through
I
from
didn't
one
even
to
know.
the
I
other.
think the first time I walked through it, my vision was in a totally different spot, and until I came here and like and shut all the doors, like there's a crazy visual change to like especially a place like this where the main room has 1, 2, 3 double doors, so 5 doors, and then one of them's a double door. So imagine all those doors open. It looks like a larger place,
Oh, yeah.
and uncontrollable. Like
First
you
thing
look
I
at
saw
it
was
going,
the skate park.
yeah, that's upstairs.
Yeah, that's upstairs.
So yeah, we have this place where we, man, if we got anybody interested in having a Central New York skate park,
I'm already on it. I talked to my buddy Scotty P. No, I talked just like 3 days ago. Scott Petrello. He built most of the East Coast terminal. That
The
was
only
in Johnson
thing-
City. He's gonna come down, I think, next month, and I'm just gonna have him build me 2 quarters over at my shop that I can move.
Nice.
So it'll be a 4 foot, 3 foot to 4 foot half pipe.
Good. We'll get
with-
Warner on
without
that
a
fucker.
flat, without a flat, because the flat will be the concrete. So that
'Cause
way
I-
it can be movable and it'll work. And then we can always move the ramps. Like if I leave
Yeah,
there,
put 'em
they can go
outside.
upstairs.
Hey, I want to jump in and just say that we did get a comment from your father, Mr. John Yetter,
Uh-huh.
JB. So we want to say hello.
Hi, Dad.
Hey, we love you, man. What's happening? We didn't get a camera on.
Say something, Warner.
Didn't get a camera on.
Ah, shit.
Well, I will say something on
All
since we're talking
right.
about Josh's hair.
Yeah.
I haven't, I cut my own hair, but in solidarity, I haven't cut my hair just so I can be like everybody else that can't get a haircut.
Yeah. None of us can.
And
man.
my neck hair
Oh.
Uh-oh.
is insane. Well, I've trimmed the hair on for the front of my neck, like my throat, my beard. That gets wild. It's just a
Right.
bunch of knots and craziness. So I've shaved that once, but that looks gnarly as hell. But my neck hair, like the back, it got so long and it's growing against the grain.
Right.
So like my normal hair ends and curls up towards my ears, like to the right and to the left. And then this stuff grows out and then curls back in like bangs. You know what I'm saying? So it's like I have these spider legs on the bottom of my hair, and my hair is giant right now. Like looks like a big loaf of bread with spider legs down my neck. But it's the first time. But it's that fuzzy shit. But that fuzzy stuff is so long now, and it's like dark that it just like turned into hair. So for the first time ever, like, cause I normally keep my hair cut, especially around my ears and my neck. I always have. I can see it when I look in the mirror. It's like curling around the sides. And so I got my first little hint, like my baby Josh curls.
Right.
You know, I can't quite get them to flow though. They
Right.
don't.
They don't flap
They're
up
still
like
pretty-
this. Like it's.
No,
Yeah.
no. I can't do the whole blow dryer Michael Jackson thing.
Right. Hey, man. Someday.
But yeah, so this it's changing everything, man. This quarantine's changing everything, bro.
Yeah, we said that. Like, we're running this thing 41 days. I don't think we've been wrong about anything other than, like I said, we didn't say for sure.
Yeah,
we said that,
not
expectations and those whole charts and, what do they call them? They call them,
what? The charts?
the expectations, the predictions.
Prediction.
But what do they call them in the official when Trump
Projections?
says it? Projections. Or no, but they call them something else. The projections
Fuck.
and
the model.
the model. There you
model.
go. The models.
Come
he
on,
always says
come on.
models
The model.
like 100 times.
And,
That's another one.
And
Ryan, models.
the 30-day plan is the best. Well, and he'd pull up the paper, Pence would. You got the 30-day plan right here. All you have to do is follow. Stay away from people. Wear your mask.
Wash your hands regularly.
It's medical.
Listen to medical doctors.
Yeah.
Oh, so listen to this.
Boy.
Now that we're back on that.
Oh boy.
Oh, here we go.
Here we go.
What do you got? Seriously, no, I guess I don't have to say anything.
Warner's
No,
got
tell me.
breaking news for us. Here.
You know,
Well, I made a
that
list.
was extra. That was
Yeah.
extra inviting.
Yeah.
I'm with you
yeah.
though, bro. I'm with you. Give it to me.
I
Give
made
it
a
to me.
list of people. As soon as I saw that Trump came out saying that his comments about boofing sunlight was sarcastic,
Right.
as soon as that happened, I went to my top 10 people, and they're not all Trump supporters.
Right.
They just happen to be this time.
All right.
But the top 10 people that defend their guy.
All right. So you
Right.
wrote the list down.
Yeah, so I put the list up,
All
and
right.
I was like, all right, these guys all said that what Trump said had, substance. It's what anyone normally asks. It's how you get to a problem. You know what I mean? There's no question you shouldn't be asking.
No
right
one
now.
fucking asked that. Tell these people. Are you fucking kidding me?
So 100 people called the Maryland emergency line asking about it and everything like that, and it just shows how many people would be curious. And I have one guy who's he's top notch, man. He's
on it, right?
Oh, he is. For a Republican, he's a speech writer and he knows spin, and he did it really well. And he was just saying that Trump is just speaking out loud. He's not afraid of being wrong. In a situation like this, you can't be afraid of being wrong, even in front of national news.
Dude.
And it's a thing.
Yeah,
that
I have people that I care about, and that are really smart on the topics too. That I understand it's because of that I understand that it's not just a black and white issue of smart and stupid. But the reason why I'm so harsh to Trump is because, it's like these are the same conversations that we've been having all along.
Yeah, but if you have to question injecting or drinking like bleach or something, are you fucking kidding me?
Right.
Come
well,
on.
no, it's
Come
but that's
on.
it is what
You
it is.
can't
What
defend that though.
No, you can't.
Yeah, but no, that goes without saying. That's just wasting breath complaining about that. What I was talking about is the people that defended it too soon, right?
Right.
And
they came up
then,
with they came up with
he's
a better
surprise, motherfuckers! I was being sarcastic,
and
right?
they realized
and now all
yeah.
these people just defended the stupidest point, and this guy did a great job. You know
he
what I mean?
fucked his
wow.
own people over by giving his excuse. He should have went to
Right,
somebody
now-
and said, "Tally what the best excuse is," and then they're like,
Yeah.
"This one." Send them this photo and hold this up at the press conference and say that they were injecting UV light like they do in so many cases,
got people
dummies.
Yeah.
Well,
But
that-
instead,
you know
he's
what I
like,
mean?
"I'm joking."
This got people
Yeah,
doing
there's
that.
a doctored photo that people posted in all seriousness. A person in Shenango County posted that she shared this dude that has a news program, just like this. If this is a news program.
Shoot,
Hey,
No,
Don't-
It's a
no,
YouTube-
don't even dare call us a
Don't
news
you
program.
shoot
No, no,
us
no.
down, Warner.
No.
That's
A
fucked
news
up.
program that's like this. He calls himself something news, but it's just a YouTube. It's just what we're doing now.
Oh,
Right, I know. I'm just
It's
messing.
the
We're
program is like this.
we're top news though.
Yeah.
Top.
But anyway, there's posts of a UV light being IV going up an IV.
Oh yeah.
Did you show Ryan that one yet?
And then people saying that, like, you know, for those of you who are naysaying this and that, UV light has been treated to kill bacteria and viruses and this and that in the human body. So there, you know, I'll let that sink in.
I saw
some
that
whole
fucking
line.
whatever
Let
you
that
want to call
sink
'em.
in. You don't inject UV light, man.
No shit. Fucking A.
You know what I mean? Even if you do, it's like orthoscopic. They send it into you.
Fucking
with
Helen Keller knew
with
that.
you know, up your fucking veins.
Yeah, not up
in your body. They don't shine like a glowing neon
up your
tube
anus.
Up your veins. I don't know, man. It was just so doctored.
Here, bend over.
But they were so quick to do it. But anyway, so I made a list of them, and I'm going back and I'm waiting to see which ones try to change their opinion.
Right.
And I'm gonna because they've I'm assuming that people are gonna delete their comments.
Warner's doing the research over there.
Well, I just want to be able to, when they come out and be like, oh, whatever, here's my point, it just comment with their screenshot. I'm taking a page out of John Oliver's book, man. Or every news thing, like you take the previous tweet, it's like, oh, that's funny. It's not what you said a week ago.
Right.
You know, because they just too many people put their noses open, man. But it's wild, man. That's even to me, that's more wild than the fact he said it was how quick people defended it.
Well, that being said, don't forget.
No, it's funny. You know, what's funny
Trump
is that
2020.
So you know, what's sometimes fun is when you can get on the page of when somebody else shares something you were thinking. So like, I had a friend, actually a member of the Uncle Uku band. He put out, what keeps happening with the lights? We got a little bit of an electrical surge happening.
I don't know.
Either that or it's in my brain. Are you guys getting that out there?
I have not seen that yet.
I haven't seen nothing.
Yeah.
All right.
And yeah.
All right. I don't know. Anyway.
It's 6:00.
Yeah, you jump on that thing. So I replied. He quoted word for word this whole speech, you know, that Trump had made, which we all know now. I played it yesterday.
And it looks so weird in writing anyway.
Right. So then my reply was, my favorite part is when he said medical doctors as opposed to what kind.
Well,
and then and then somebody
have to get some psychologists on this.
Right. So then that's what just happened. So just now when my phone went ding, I looked down and it's just some dude I don't know because, you know, I commented on something that I don't really, you know, from a friend that I don't know like that, his circle, other than like some people, you know, one of those friends.
Right.
So from a different place. So I don't really know. So obviously he's got his group of people. And then that person just said to me, as opposed to PhDs.
Yeah.
So okay, thanks for clearing that up.
Psychiatric help.
Yeah, like you were
Like
saying,
you would
there
say
were no
that.
other kind of doctors.
So then you could say, yeah.
What about dentist?
Oh, that's right. Yeah,
Yeah.
you're right. Don't take advice from dentist. You're right.
Yeah.
That's what he meant when he said medical. Medical just makes it.
Medical.
No, this is why. It's because if you really look at something like that, is you got somebody like Dr. Oz, you know, that's promoting things, and even some of the things that Dr. Phil has been saying.
Dr. Feelgood.
Where they're
both
promoting,
psychiatrists.
Right, and they're promoting something. So now they've been criticized. So he's like distancing himself from them by saying medical doctors. But we didn't need to be told that to know that they were not medical doctors. So it just comes down to like, oh, okay. So it's just the way he was doing that for the people that don't understand, which is not me, you know?
That's funny, man.
Well, I got to head out, guys. I want to say thank you.
Well, I'm going to head out too, JB.
All right. Peace, JB.
Thanks for joining us. Glad to have you.
Later, JB.
Ryan says bye. He said, get your shit together.
But on a
Later, buddy.
And yeah, on a you know, but hey, man, that's that. That's like it's just ridiculous at this point.
Keep the shit show going.
Keep the shit show going is inevitable because
2020.
Because even though we're saying all this stuff, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So what I think it means is that we can just ride into the next freaking next 4 years, being, you know, the
Ride or
the
die,
opposition,
motherfucker.
the rebels that we always were. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Yeah, it's something.
And we
yeah,
got
but
our,
it's we are the minority. I think that's where
and we always
that's
have
where
been.
happens.
So it is what it is.
Yeah.
That's why I like weird things like midnight gospel, because it's
Right.
just I'm the
Yeah.
minority, man.
Hey, man, whatever you like, man.
Yeah, buddy. All right, man. Well, I'll let you guys close it out. Are you gonna play another song from the Reel to Reel?
I am.
He is actually.
What do you?
This
do you know
song
what
is
you're
a
playing?
great day to express the day that we are living in today. And today, specifically, was a beautiful, sunshiny day where we were able to say to ourselves, yeah, this is what we're alive for. This is what's going on. We love this weather. We love this planet, the creatures on it. And,
He loves the planet. And
and
tomorrow,
so despite how things and how low and how sad things can get,
tomorrow it'll be 46.
Yeah, there you go. There's Josh.
and then
right
we can,
on time.
oh boy.
Oh,
boy.
Wingman. What a wingman.
Hey, let me tell you what. I
All right,
am
go
a
ahead.
hell of a wingman, though. I am a good friend to have when it comes down to.
I agree.
Yeah.
I mean,
Warner doesn't have any.
listen, in the
input.
41
I was gonna
days,
say I'm still up in the air. I was checking my notes.
in the 41 days, I only had to do one show alone, and it was because we had a serious error. Josh had to go after we troubleshot for like hours, and
It was Mother's Day.
and definitely as tough as any show might get, that was probably the toughest one. Was doing it alone. I just it was a little difficult. Nobody to banter with. You know what I mean?
Start missing his good buddy when he's not here. Yeah.
Well,
And here I am.
Yeah, no shit, man.
yeah.
It is a long time.
So we thank JB for sitting in with
JB.
us. He left.
I love it. He was having a good time. He's in here
Ryan
laughing
for the
with
call.
us.
All the comments. Appreciated everybody. Any new subscribers?
Yeah, tell your
That's,
friends.
I'd
Warner.
love to, hey,
We need to subscribe.
we're trying to get
now.
1,000. We're still on this campaign for 1,000. We've been releasing content regularly, so we've been getting a little boost in our views, and we're just trying to
and it's
trying
not
to keep
1,000.
it going.
It's not. You don't want 1,000 subscribers for a popularity contest. You know what I mean? I just
Oh
wanted
yeah, just to make that clear, it's it's
Yeah.
actually a threshold that if we hit that threshold, then we will be open for opportunity to take on
Another 1,000 more.
Well, to take on anybody that wants to sponsor, anybody that wants to risk sponsoring us. But man, come on, we're good
Somebody's
people.
got
We're
to
regular
send me
people,
some
whatever.
shades, right?
But,
Don't you think we can get a sunglass sponsor at least?
So there's definitely some things, and obviously being a music studio, maybe maybe we'd like some. That'd be great to get some sponsorship,
Yeah.
and we could definitely.
Yeah, we
be
can add
willing
it to the
to-
shit on Josh's desk.
Well, yeah. Well, what the fuck, Warner?
Yeah,
I
don't
figured
you
maybe
want
they
to be
gotta-
there?
Maybe
Like,
somebody's
this
got a
could
nice
be
setup.
yours.
Yeah.
This could be your gingerbread porcelain house candle holder.
Motherfucker, that's a piggy bank. It's not a
It's a
piggy.
piggy bank.
It's not a piggy, but it has a slot in it for money. So
Oh,
I'll flip it
and here
around.
I was thinking you put tea lights in there and lit it up.
No, that's a bank. Somebody in the 80s made that.
I bet they did.
They put a cat on the roof, too. You didn't see that, did you? I think it's a cat. I don't know why the cat's on the roof, but there is. Did you see the little cowboy riding riding the lamb? You didn't.
No, I
did you?
gotta check. I'm going off of
I'll go back.
pure memory.
Yeah, well, you need to see the little cowboy riding the lamb, motherfucker.
All right, I got
I'll
you
check it
now.
out.
All right.
Well, I'm away from my computer anyway. I was just going by memory when I was thinking about. What
Yeah.
it
Give you
should
guys a
look
look
like.
at I'm gonna give you guys a super zoom in of Josh's desk here. We can
Oh,
get a little
boy.
strip on it.
There's all kinds of shit on there.
He's super happy.
We got some cool right there's a little house we were talking about. We have my
Yeah.
rigid drill. We've
Yep.
discussed this on the show also.
He took the battery
very
out.
exciting.
Make
Links
sure
in the bio. Links in
There's
the bio.
some really cool stuff with like Gween. There's some Gween stickers. Right over here is a sheet rocker kind of like mask.
Yeah.
That was like the first one I hooked up Josh with. Did you get that one from me, right?
No, I had.
No, that was yours.
Yeah, that
Okay,
was
I'm
me. It
sorry.
came with the goggles.
That's right. You hooked me up with it.
Yeah, I'm a good friend.
That's right. Before, when I was actually,
He
doing
keeps trying
work.
to tell you he's a good friend.
He is.
I love it.
Over here on the desk, we have stickers. This is like some cool these are all Josh designs.
Yeah.
Most of these here, but these ones with the little kid and they're like holding up balloons, but they're like Grateful Dead balloons.
Yeah.
And it's like
Banksy.
it's like little Georgie kind of.
Yeah.
And over here we got Peter Tosh on a unicycle.
Yeah.
And imagine that, Peter Tosh, the man.
On a unicycle.
He's the seeker of truth.
Yeah.
Justice. We got over here some cool dude aviator type specs, and this thing is some kind of power meter, but it's very very confusing. So over here we got an ashtray and looks like a Statue of Liberty. Oh, we missed the football guys because they blended in, but here's a little figurine of some football.
John Elway actually.
And this here is a skateboard that was given to me by my buddy Wyatt Swingle.
Oh, shout out to YY.
Right? And it's a mini. It's like a mini skateboard.
All right.
A mini one, right? But then I put on some longboard trucks with some big wheels. So it's kind of like a weird looking skateboard.
Yeah. But it's my goddamn high riser.
Yeah.
Right at my level since I'm not little.
And so it goes really fast where you only have to pump a couple times and you go flying down. And actually those trucks were given to me from our good friend Tim Finnegan up in Maine.
Timmy.
He lives with our other friend Kurt.
Kurt and Tim.
Yeah, man. Well, they don't live together, but they live in the same town.
Tim Kirchen. All right.
And they're making it happen. And there we are, back to the Ooh-Wah's face. And we're going to give you guys a closeout song.
I'm out of here.
And like I said, this one's to represent the day. The chorus of this song is Good Day, or Good Times, Sunshine and Good Times. And this song is called I Still Sing My Song. There's a little clip. Oh, just one more thing with it. Within the song, you'll hear the song like cut out and come right back in.
Right.
It's because I accidentally recorded over the 4-track on the 4-track thing.
Oh,
so it was
hit
really,
the wrong button?
That was a huge error on my part for 1 second, and I killed the
Was this a long time ago?
This was a long time ago. Yeah, not recently.
Pushing
But
butt.
I did this a long time ago, and it was a sad moment.
Huh.
Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, this is I Still Sing My Song, the Moonhill Band, recorded in like
Warner
early
still there?
70s, rough recording. And we'll talk to you soon. mAng and Neads Show,
Thanks for
Sonic
having
Gardens
us.
Radio.
Later,
Peace
guys.
out, y'all.
Hey, Warner.
Later, Ryan. Thanks for the call, man.
Bye, buddy.
Yeah, buddy.
Peace out.
Thanks for having us. He done hung up.